Good evening. We are live. Oh, Paul's first right out of the block. Good evening, Paul. So I'm just hanging out here with Dave. Dave realized the Survivor Series was on, so I don't blame him. So his attention may be a little divided, but for the most part, I'll hang out with you guys. Dave will be here a little bit as well. Some other folks have an open invitation. They can come and go as they please. I'm not going to hold anybody here. And how long we go will really depend a little bit on you guys and kind of what you want to talk about and what you want to do. But we've got a couple of things we can definitely chat about. So tonight's going to be a little bit of a post-mortem from the Virtual Expo. Dave was hanging out there at a couple of the booths. I was hanging out there for a little bit. We ended up having some impromptu kind of podcast content as well. So we'll be able to kind of regurgitate a little bit of what we said already. If any of you did get a chance to check it out, you got a sneak preview. But we'll give you a little more streamlined version of some of the points that we have because now we had a little time to think about it. We've had a little time to discuss. So some interesting conversations, definitely. Some good hobbyists got on there and we definitely had some fun chats. But before I get started, why don't I grab one thing? There was a question here posted earlier that I received directly on Instagram. By the way, Instagram is the best way to just reach out. If you have a question or something, just shoot me a message. That's usually the best way. A lot of folks have been able to reach me that way, and I do my best to respond as best I can. So Cardboard Underground asked, and this is not directly related to the expo, but again, you asked this through this method, it's easier to reach me. So he was just asking, could he ask a question? And of course, but he said, in his opinion, 97, so this is Cardboard Underground on Instagram. So in his opinion, 97 Donruss preferred tints provided some of the best looking cards in the 90s. So that's an opinion. Where do you think their variants, platinum, golden, etc., rank in the decade in terms of importance for player collectors? And he likes those. So kind of just asking where the, those rank in kind of the 90s thing. So I want to make an important distinction. In terms of overall importance, I think some of the precious metal cards, the real metal cards, really cool, really cool. And normally I'd be able to cite some sources. Dave's here, of course, he's got his opinions on it, but I would cite like hockey experts. The best thing to do is to go to YouTube and like look for this YouTube channel here. This person right here is like the first person that I would ask, like on anything hockey. There is one legend in this hockey business that goes above all others. The person that I aspire to be like in my hockey knowledge, and that's the Broncos 79. Right, Dave?
I would concur.
Like, without question. So Cardboard Max, how are you doing? Thank you. I enjoyed the this. I decided to crack this hoodie out. It's getting a little chilly around these parts, so it's time to wear a little bit of the warmer fleece hoodies without a doubt. So good evening, Josh. Yeah, Paul, exactly. We all know. Listen, you got to understand Steve's whole, anti-hockey thing. It's really a character method acting. Think like Andy Kaufman in his days. That's kind of his whole shtick. So, he's really committed to the role, though. Like, super committed. It's very impressive, actually. Good evening, Vinny. How are you? So, what I'll say for this question for Cardboard Underground is that when it comes to... It's hard to rank, right? Because it's kind of your aesthetic. I'm really partial to the Black Diamond 97, 98, but that's not everybody's cup of tea. And I totally understand that. And, of course, like, if you talk about the platinums, the mirror gold platinums and things like that. Like those are like impressive. And then if you're talking, since you mentioned 90 specifically, like 97, 98 is my favorite year. There's a lot of great cards and great sets in that one. Awesome sets. But some of them are like one-offs. So where you rank them is kind of like historically, kind of depends on where you stand on it. Because I love those Donruss preferred cards. I do. But for me, the mirror golds hold a very, very prestigious place. And the totally certifieds, like especially with the combination of the technologies and all that stuff. Like there's some awesome stuff there. I wouldn't knock any of these though. One thing I think holds Donruss preferred back is that other than Hossa, it doesn't have like a key marquee rookie card. And if it had like the one rookie, because in 97, 98, if Luongo had been available in that one, that would have been interesting. Or if you had, or if it had been a year earlier, this series had come out, and it had been the Joe Thornton or Patrick Marleau, that would have made really interesting. So like, it's no knock on the series. It's just what they had available. And Hossa was a very good player. Hossa's in the Hall of Fame, so he was a great player. But he wasn't enough to carry that set, not as a whole. But I wouldn't turn down any of those cards. There's some great cards in that series.
No, that cut to the chase too. The die cuts parallel that. Trying to find the platinum ones, even the gold. I mean, they're not just laying around. So availability, they're not readily available. You said, and I lament when you said this, they were trying to give away the boxes at the expo.
They were $35, Dave, all day long, all day long.
And that's where I probably would have, like I've said, picked a forklift from somewhere, got a pallet, and continued on my journey. And taking them all.
Yeah.
But they are, because I've got the box still sitting here. I haven't opened it yet. But they're some of my favorites because, again, you sort of have that etching in the background. You have die cuts. You have scarceness on a multi-tiered level. A lot, like you said, a lot of that stuff was a one-off. So not like a jambalaya. Even with those in the basketball world, this wasn't like Hoops came out with it in '91, and when Hoops, let's say, they were gone for a few years, it went away. That's jambalaya was the same thing. Until it came back in the retro sense, and like the Fleer Metal when it was owned by Upper Deck in the late 2000s.
I think that's going to be a big thing, though. Sometimes it's rediscovering it after the fact.
Oh, yeah.
You reintroduce it and like, wait, you guys made these before? And it's like, you go back and look and say, oh man, these are pretty sweet. So it's gone away, but that doesn't mean somebody can't bring it back. There could come a time they're going to have to do a good job to do it. They're going to have to do it justice. I wouldn't replicate it exactly, but you could borrow though a lot and reimagine it in your own style. And I think that would be a good way of doing it. So I just wanted to talk a couple of minutes. Since Cardboard Underground is very supportive of the channel, I thought I would take a couple of minutes. And I know this is right up your alley, so I figured it would be a good place to start. So now we're going to talk a little Virtual Expo. Let me grab a couple of these comments here. So yeah, Vinny's kind of in agreement with, the method is like, it's next level, man. If this man doesn't win an Oscar, an Emmy, like a Tony, all of the above, I'm offended. We will riot, Dave. We will riot if this man does not get the recognition he deserves. He says, keep thinking that. We will. We will. No doubt. No doubt. Okay, so let's see here. So Balls just asked the obvious question. Did anybody find anything Expo? So I didn't pick up anything. I kind of really, I had to chill. I took a look at the card budget, and I had consumed a lot of it the last little while, but I did get some great cards out of it, so I'm not complaining. And I did find a couple of things on eBay offline. I'm kind of in the same boat as Paul here. I want to grab one second. Let me grab this here. Yeah, and I did check out some of the booths, so I want to talk a little bit about the experience of going in and checking out some of the stuff as well. So if any of you didn't get a chance to check it out, they utilize the same platform as the first time. They made some modifications to it to make it a little bit better. For the most part, I was really happy with it. I actually thought the setup was really good. You're able to check out stuff on the main stage if you wanted to. You could pop in any booth you'd like. You had the video feed, and we'll talk in a couple of minutes how some people use that well, and some people didn't really take full advantage of it. And the ones that were able to do showcases virtually through a Dropbox or a Google Photos or whatever, we saw variations of that done very well. The people who did that probably did the best business because they made it easy for you. You were able to window shop. You didn't have to engage right away. You could take a few minutes and look as if you wanted anything. Not everybody took full advantage of that. And the other thing that I noticed was because some of those dealers did that, they probably missed out on some sales. They probably had some inventory we would have been interested in, but if you can't find it and it's not easy for me, I'd rather patronize those that make it easy for me. Because at an expo, you'll walk by the booth and you'll look around the showcases for a little bit. Maybe something's hidden behind something, and you kind of see the corner of a card and like, wait, is that whatever? In this case, if you don't show me, I can't see it. It could be sitting right behind you for all I know, and it's right there within arm's reach, but we won't know. So let me grab this here. So Vinny lurked as well. Yep. Oh, so you had some issues with the login, Vinny? So I think for the most part, it was pretty good for me, although I did have to refresh the first day. I had to refresh the browser a little bit, for sure. 97 Metal Universe is the best. That's why I say, like, you can have your favorites. And there's a bunch of good ones there in that late 90s that are good. And they're bringing back a variation of metal, because I think that was mentioned as well, that Upper Deck's going to be bringing back, I think they're going to call it Skybox metal or something like that. So that'll be kind of interesting. There we go. I think Vinny mentions it. I'll get to that comment in a second, Vinny. Perfect. Thank you for mentioning it. Yeah. Cut to chase are great. Absolutely. No doubt. And Seb was around the show a little bit as well. I saw him. So one of the favorite 90 sets back was 95, 96 tops because it was in his budget and all the inserts were very fun to chase. Yeah. They had some really good inserts in that one, especially for what was considered a base brand. There's actually pretty good stuff in there. Now I don't care about those, but keep them in the binder souvenir. That's fair. Yeah. So Josh, Jeremy, we'll talk about that a little bit as well. We're going to use Jeremy and kind of Amit as examples, but we'll play off of that. I know some other people did similar things as well. I did look around a little bit. So this is a question for you, Dave, from Matt.
I didn't even look, and that was on me. Most of the time I'm at a card show, if we're in the physical sense and we got tables, we can meander. I usually try to make a loop through the show. Again, when it's like a national or an expo situation, you can't just like meander and not run into people. Especially, again, don't tout myself because I don't, but I know a lot of people throughout the years I've been in this hobby. And so, I mean, if I go over here, I might see Carlos and Amit, talk to them. Go over here, I might see some guys that I know from back at message boards. So, I mean, when you're trying to search at the show, sometimes that gets truncated by just, hey, I'm bumping into this guy. I want to talk to him for a while. And that's the expo. That's what I liked the first time. I just wanted to talk. I like going on there listening. Somebody has me on, I'll talk. That's what I did this time. I went to Jeremy's booth and I went to Amit's booth, and that was it. But I mean,
for contrast, I'm going to share a picture. I did take a screen grab of one of the moments that I was on talking a little bit, just so for those who didn't get a chance to see it, I can actually show them what it looked like from our perspective a little bit. So this may be a little bit helpful for those of you who didn't get a chance to see it. So just an example. So this is when I was on the screen with Jeremy, and Jeremy's using the older school technology to try to accomplish this. He wanted to take the screenshot to show everybody. But from our perspective, so this is what I'm seeing. This is like half of my screen. The other side that's cut off a little bit is the chat, because you can see the chat going there, and you can kind of see what people are talking about. But then you've got the people on the screen there, and you can be chatting. So this was earlier today when we were chatting at Jeremy's booth for a little bit, and then I went over to Amit's booth, and I was hanging out with Dave there for a while as well. But it's just to give you a sense. It's basically a live stream. The booths themselves were like independent, self-running live streams happening at the same time. So you could jump from booth to booth, and people could be sitting there chatting, making deals, doing whatever. And one point I'll make, and Dave, you can add to this as well. One of the things that happened with some of the dealers, because I did this with Amit on the first day completely, and then with Jeremy and Amit on the second day, sometimes that means the guys get a bit of break. They don't have to keep talking, but they can still do deals. So while Dave and I are chatting a little bit, and effectively you're getting a version of almost this live stream while you're there hanging out, maybe you want to make a deal. You're scanning through some of his stuff. You see like, hey, Jeremy has this card. This is kind of cool. I want to buy that. You ping Jeremy and go, hey, what can you do on this? Jeremy goes back and forth with you. And that's all happening while other people are just kind of watching the show, so to speak. And that was, we did a lot.
I mean, that was the same thing from June when we'd get on with Jeremy, and he was, I want to say it was either first or second day, and he was just making deal after deal where he couldn't even look up at the screen. And so it's sort of our, again, not a responsibility, but it's nice for us where we can talk for a few moments and then we're tuckered out, but we can talk for those few moments and carry the show while he or Amit can make those deals, not have to worry about engaging verbally with the people in the chat, the people in the room. We can carry that and be of assistance to them. And then again, that's one thing, the hobby relationships. You don't always have to put forth money to make friends. You can be there for them in any way you can to support them and support yourself. Because again, we like to talk. Somebody says, hey man, I haven't seen these guys before. Let's go listen to what they've got to say. Then they see our YouTube channels and just say, well, you know what? I'm going to throw my phone in the river. I don't care anymore. That's fine. But I mean, that was a fun part. I always like to just do that and talk, obviously, because again, we seem to mesh well. Steve and I mesh well. All three of us mesh well. You, me, and Amit mesh well. And Jeremy.
Well, you know what this means? That means at the next expo, we need to have a booth that's like the hockey symposium, and we get all the experts. We get on there, you know, we just sit there and like stare in awe while Steve just holds court and tells us everything. I'll take notes. I want to transcribe it for prosperity for everybody, for posterity. So we want to make sure we capture that. I was going to include this as well because Vinny mentioned it. Yeah, I did hear a little bit about that. So Billy Celio from Upper Deck did mention this. I don't know too much about it yet, but obviously that this could be a very interesting thing coming out in 2021, bringing back the Fleer Metal Universe concept with PMGs and the related, which could be very interesting. That could be kind of a big thing, especially. I don't know yet, but I'd be very curious. Like the design are fun. So if you can bring it back and harness some of that thing and come up with your own version of it, because you don't want to just steal the exact same design again.
Yeah.
But like, take a piece. Why not? Just take a little bit of that and then use the current players and whatever. I'm like, please don't put Medano on it. Just give me a break. I do not need a Medano PMG in my life. Just leave me alone. Leave this man alone. That's all I want. Don't do it. He's retired. Leave him alone. Yeah. I'm just grabbing some of the comments here. Say Skybox Premium Rubies. That'd be another good one. Like, there's some good ideas in the past. Why not borrow that? Yeah. Profiles and Rink Leaders. Absolutely. The Opeachy Parallel. So for this one for Zeb, right now we don't know. I'm pretty sure Steve Menzie will mention it though, because it's good promotion. Why not? Because I know the first time around they had like 4,000 or 5,000 people online virtually, and they did cross promote a little bit with the Chicago Spectacular. Although I know there were some new dealers that carried over from that. I don't feel like I sense that much of a presence from the Chicago. No. I don't know if a lot of them took them up on it.
There was a little bit for sure. I saw that the guy, I don't know, was Ezra. I saw he had a booth, the fractional guy. But again, there's a lot of Canadian flags as you're where you're from, and there's not much that I saw of like a U.S. presence, which it's a shame because you're not going to have shows in person. If you do, you're probably going to have COVID. So you have to have these to supplement A, people's income, and B, people's interest between the shows that are actually going to be transpiring in person. So the more you're resistant on this and changing or molding whatever way you want to do things to actually get sales done, you're doing a great disservice to yourself, because this is, like you've mentioned before, this is here to stay. This is easy. Everybody can do it from their own home. You don't have to travel with how much overhead. Again, it sucks when we can't go to like a bar or a restaurant or whatever to eat and have after party type situations or whatnot. But that money, you can just say, okay, this time we can save on that and spend more. Next time, whenever we're in person, we can whoop it up a little more instead of being real mundane and mellow right now. But the people that aren't jumping aboard this, and again, you don't have to go balls out, but at the same time, accept it as something that is actually something that is going to be now in the future a part of this hobby. It's foolhardy on them to not at least dip their feet in the water and come along for the ride.
Absolutely. And the thing is, this is going to be likely, once we are able to get back to the physical shows, that doesn't mean the virtual shows go away. That just means they become a supplement. Yep. And that way, for those of you who can't travel every single time, that's all good. But then we end up having basically a quarterly expo, 2 virtual and 2 in person. It's just a supplement. It's a way without having to rent the hall every single time. So I'll grab a couple of the comments here. So Paul was just chuckling about, our profound appreciation for Steve's knowledge. And, even Steve was wowed with it. He was impressed by his own knowledge. And I don't blame him. Like, if I knew as much as he did, I would be wowed too. So Josh just mentioned here, he'll send Billy a message. I would appreciate that. I do need a break. I know I'm catching up on the comments, guys. So I'm just making sure I get this here. So Vinny posted on Instagram. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if they did include Legends in there, but they do have a rotation. So maybe this will be the time they let him sit out. I know I did get a break on the last couple of ones, and I'll get this one here as well. So good evening, Carvin. Glad you could pop by. If you get a chance, check your email. Otherwise, I can always ping it to you directly. There are some good questions that I've been receiving lately that I think you're just the guy to speak to, and maybe we'll have a chat at some point in the not too distant future about that again. But we'll definitely chat offline. Skybox Metal, absolutely. Vinny's excited. If we get Ultra Retro and Showcase back, he's back into Modern. He's done with his break with Modern Lemieux. Hey man, go for it. Then I hope you get Lemieux, and I hope I get a break from Medano. I need a little bit of a breather. I got plenty of current players I collect to go after. Absolutely. No. Vinny, if it gives excitement, yes. Like if it's something that enthuses you in the hobby, there's nothing wrong with it. I never have a problem with Modern because it has a place. It gets people excited because it's not just looking at the past. I can look to the past because I watched those players play already. So I got a chance to watch it. So I have those memories of it. But for the current players, they're building that. So for the kids who are growing up watching them now, that's their memories. Those are their people that are going to get a chance to see. They need to have that too. And then 20 years from now, they'll nostalgically look back to the year 2020 when their player was playing. So for them, that will be the nostalgia. So there's nothing wrong with that. So here we go. So from Bob Jackson, virtual shows equals more money to spend on stuff. Yeah. If vendors actually show, yes. Yeah, Bob. And we'll definitely talk about that in a second because some people did not take advantage of the format. The format has certain things you can do to help yourself, and not everybody did that. Not everybody did that. Do you guys think the sellers don't see added value to the expo as it's all online and we all know how to search eBay? So Josh, the thing is, a lot of these sellers don't really sell on eBay. So it's like some of them do. Some of them have eBay stores. For them, it wouldn't be that much of a difference. But what if you don't? I know a lot of I think part of the problem that I saw is that some of these sellers are very much, they might as well be doing everything on paper and pen. Like the fact that a computer exists is almost like shocking. So they struggle. And the problem is that limits your market. Because there was a dealer, I think Cameo Cards, who does vintage at the expo. He's set up for years. Actually, a pretty nice guy. I've had chats with him. He's pretty good. I've done some business with him a little bit here and there. He's usually pretty negotiable on price. Sometimes he's a little bit more firm, but that's fine. That's okay. But he's more of an old school guy, like a lot of old school stuff. I don't know if he would necessarily have done this because I don't think I saw him. Even though a virtual would be something he wouldn't have to go too far because I know sometimes he struggled to travel a little bit for a while. So something like this might be ideal for him, so he doesn't have to leave his area. And he could still potentially sell things, have a sell sheet and be able to show you certain cards and then maybe still be able to sell them because there's a market for vintage too. People will buy. And the thing is, if you're doing it like this, yes, you have to pay for the booth, but you don't have to pay eBay final value fees. And you can arrange a multitude of payment things. Can you use PayPal? Of course. For the Canadian people, we use electronic fund transfers. So if we're buying from a Canadian seller, I can transfer the funds directly to you. You can confirm the payment immediately, right in your hand. It's as if I had handed you cash, but I did it all electronically. Okay, so is your address, this is your address, the one that you sent me? Yep. Okay, I'll ship it out to you on Monday. Done. So there's some advantages to that, being able to get that business done quickly. So Carvin's point here, a good way for international dealers to be at any show. Cost and time is a factor. Absolutely. Why they don't come over? Also more exposure for international customers. Yeah. And that was a big one because some Canadian buyers don't know some of these smaller American sellers, but you as the American seller don't have to leave the States. You can show us this. You can actually show us your wares, and then I can see you and have a quick conversation with you and go, okay, I'm comfortable buying from this person. Let's make the deal. And then you got a sale. But if you did it in an eBay store, then I'm looking at price and the quality of your scan because I've got nothing else to go on, right? So it's like, maybe I look at your feedback. I do a handful of things. Doesn't mean it prevents you from using eBay. You totally can. But that's only the beginning. That's a piece of the puzzle. So Bob agrees with Carvin. Absolutely. And Bobby was there with us a little bit at the tail end as well earlier today. So like you can meet and chat with some folks as well because Bobby had his booth and he had a little time and he came over and we were chatting a little bit as well. And you get a chance to hear from all these great hobby people that have all this information to give you and be able to share their experience with it as well, which is great. Going forward, traditional shows are a blend of vintage and modern, albeit lately moving more in the direction of modern. What blend of vintage modern did you see at the virtual? So I looked a little bit. It did feel like it was modern heavy, but that's not to be surprised. I think the dealers that specialize in vintage specialize in vintage. That was just kind of where I saw it, you know? Does that kind of make sense, Dave? Did you see anything else in the little bit you were looking around?
Yeah, it's mostly modern stuff. That, but again, that seems to be, I don't know where I'd put like out of 100, like a 70-30, 7 or 65-35, where modern, maybe even more, where that's just what people are looking for more so than if you want something that's probably going to be more stable long term. The vintage is always going to probably be where you're the best bang for your buck if you want to do that I word. Because again,
you mean hashtag invest?
Possibly.
Yeah, we are a big fan. Hashtag invest.
That Bobby Orr rookie's not going down anytime soon.
No. And but the thing is, like, if you're going to make a big purchase in a certain way, yes, you can buy on eBay. Yes, you got the buyer protections. And by the way, since you can use PayPal, you can still capitalize on some of those protections. You'd still have some of that built in. Now, if you send friends and family, then you're taking your life into your own hands. I can't help you. But if you utilize the protections that are built in, that's not a bad idea. So Carvin just says here as well, eBay, you're arranging deals with a web screen. Here you get to meet people, which is true. And like I said, there is a value to being able to negotiate because maybe in the course of your conversation, the dealer might then be able to work a little bit more with you. Because if I do the offer, it's like an anonymous person sending you an offer. It's a little low for me. I'll decline. Whereas maybe if you're doing it live, it's like, look, this is kind of what I can do. Would you be willing to do whatever? And, I can look at some other opportunities to grab some more stuff from you down the road. Maybe the dealer thinks about that and goes, all right, you know what? I'll cut you a break on this one. So maybe you can get a little bit more out of it. There is a possibility. There are ways to go about that. So let me grab this comment here. So the Ogs is my good buddy Ogilvy. He's still alive. Usually I do a life check once every couple of months to be like, send me a picture of you with the day's newspaper just to make sure you're still alive. Once in a while. So Ogilvy just says here, not only international dealers, but signing guests that normally would make the trip may be willing to show up on webcam. And yes, Ryan, that is exactly what they did. They had the guests where you were able to do the traditional signature, but you could also get like a 2 or 3 or 5 minute quick web call basically with them and be able to ask a couple questions, maybe get a story. So it give you that little bit of a fan experience in addition to the same way that you could buy like a VIP thing at the expo and like hang out for a couple of minutes and just chat with them. Not a big deal. And through web, it's more convenient for the guests. They don't have to leave their house.
Yeah.
If they've got a sufficient internet and a webcam, they're good to go. They can just connect and you're solid. So just Vinny says here, I like to list out all the Canadian shops and distributor types. We have all the U.S. companies like DNA, BB, Baseball Card Exchange, Steel City. They don't have the hockey like our Canadian friends do. And the thing is, though, a virtual expo you can have. I kind of like the possibility because the regular expo is going to be hockey heavy. Mm-hmm. The demographics say it has to be. A virtual expo does not have to be. Mm-hmm. It could be more of a blend. We could have more basketball because now if it becomes more viable and more people come over time, who's to say some of the big basketball dealers in Asia couldn't join in? It'd be a weird time zone for them, but they're not excluded. They could potentially show up and do some business if they really wanted to. I'm not telling Steve what to do, but if that became in play, then you could extend the show hours and let the other markets in those other time zones keep operating. And if anybody wants to stay up late and do business with them live, you can do it. And then the North American ones can have a cutoff where if you guys want to keep going, go ahead. Otherwise, you can have a break for the day. Mm-hmm. But then the show keeps going even when they're going because there's still dealers online. That's not for everybody, but for some folks, it might be interesting. Different time zones, right? The business doesn't stop. Even as we wind down, the other side of the world is ramping up to do business for the day. That's the whole thing with the internet, right?
Money doesn't sleep.
Nope, not at all. So the virtual had a blend of modern and vintage. That shows they used to go where vintage heavy like 80%. Yeah, Bob. And I think we're going to get a blend. I think the demographics are going to keep shifting. It will happen over time. Paul knows. Hashtag invest. Facebook is the new eBay. It could be. Although I'm trying to remember. I don't think Marketplace has any fees associated with it still yet. Facebook hasn't quite gotten around to that yet because you could make a Marketplace post, do a deal with somebody and just send the money back and forth, send the addresses and just get it done that way. They haven't clawed in yet to my recollection. I haven't played around with Marketplace too much in a while, but I think you could do that. You could definitely, and of course in Facebook groups and stuff, you could definitely sell cards. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing. Zach just says here, the dealers that specialize in vintage don't specialize in virtual card shows. Yes. Not a knock on the guys over there, more referring to the ones that like to not to set up. Yeah, I made the comment that one of the conversations we were having, we were talking about like hobby technologies and different things that could be done. But at the same time, we were talking about hobby technologies. We were talking about that some people were struggling to run a webcam. Mm-hmm. So it's like, we're talking about like AI, mostly when we were discussing grading, but we're talking about like AI and all these technologies we could use. But at the same time, there are dealers who are still doing the equivalent of trying to figure out how this horseless carriage thing works. So you're saying there's no horse. Yes. But the carriage moves. Yes. That is correct. It's true. It's true. It's pretty shocking. I was shocked myself. Yeah, we're not talking about the marketplace, the inner groups. So I guess you're saying the Facebook groups themselves. I think that's what Bobby's saying. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bobby. I think that's what I'm understanding from this comment, and that's fair. And it is a place because I was Seb suggested a Facebook group to me that I joined, and I did join up. And there's some folks there that are Europe based. And they've got some fantastic cards. So it's like, it's a different market, but those cards don't make it onto eBay. Kind of to that point. It's like, these are great cards that legitimately would be great to add to the collection, but they don't make it onto eBay. Now I'm not going to go in there and buy something immediately right off the top because right now, like I said, I'm tapped a little bit, but also you got to do your currency conversion. You got to figure out, and then maybe there's a language barrier. For the most part, though, they seem to speak pretty good English, so all good, awesome. But there are opportunities there. Perfect. I just want to make sure I understood you right, Bobby. Matt from the Essential Credentials join us. Hey, Matt, how are you? I saw that Matt introduced a new series, eh? He's doing some interviews. He introduced Brent. So Near Mint Musings, he's got him on his channel. I started listening to that a little bit in the like the short break between the end of the expo. I was literally eating at the tail end of it. I'm like, okay, look, I gotta eat. We were sitting there for quite a while.
I saw that one of his videos had popped up and he was like live and like, okay, watch that later. Then I saw that and again trying to like sift through my fantasy football, biting my nails and then eating and then just trying to like get everything ready so that when we're done here, just go right to bed. And then the Survivor Series thing popped up. I'm like, oh, yeah, there's another thing that's in the way. But yeah, I saw that. That'll be definitely one for tomorrow, I'm guessing, because today has been a long day.
Yeah. I'll probably have enough time. I started listening to it a little bit. And I always enjoy Brent's takes on the hobby and kind of what he's, because this year he's had one of the things they talk about a little bit, and I won't spoil it, folks. You can go check it out on the channel right here, the Essential Credentials. But one of the things they talked about a fair bit was kind of him trying to figure out like what does he really want to collect, and what it really came down to is like, okay, look, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of life stuff. How do we use the hobby? Should be a distraction. How do we use that? Like it shouldn't be stressful. The hobby should not be causing you stress. If it's causing you stress, that's not helping you right now. So just find something that makes you happy, something you can enjoy. And I think that's a good lesson for everybody. So absolutely. So you save so much on fees when you try to sell to people that find your cars on Facebook, which is true. Yeah, the thing is, I want eBay to have competition. We'll get to the ComC piece in a minute, and how that relates to some of the stuff we're going to talk about. But it's important that there be other alternatives. I don't want eBay to be the only answer, because I don't think anybody wins if that happens. But the other ones have their flaws too. They got their warts, and they have some work to do. And when we talk about the whole competition thing, it's like, yeah, competition's good, but right now our competition's flawed. Nobody's got the perfect system. Nobody's built the perfect setup. So I'll just include this one here as well. Yep. Yes, that's right. I believe, you mentioned that Brent introduced me, which is awesome. And I'm glad you're here hanging out as well, without question. So Facebook groups here, proof that Sasquatch could exist. I mean, if you can't take a good pic of a stationary postcard, how could a good pic of a 7-foot-tall gorilla cruising at top speed be taken? See, Paul is always here to bring it into context. This is important. This is insight right here. This is key. Zach says here, which plays perfectly into what I was talking about a second ago, so this is good. Best booths were the ones that had constant video conversations. I participated a little more than the first expo, and I expect others will do the same as they get more familiar with the platform. Agree? Totally. Totally agree. But that's the truth, is that sometimes people would stay for the conversation. And in the course of staying for the conversation, they would then check out the photo bucket or whatever, and then maybe find something, because it just means, I mentioned it towards the tail end of today. It felt, especially when Amit was there and you were there and we were all chatting and Bobby was on for a little bit and we were all just hanging out talking. It felt a little bit like the old card shop where maybe you already made your purchase for the day. You bought your box or your packs and you're done, but you got some time. So now we're all just standing here, just shooting the breeze, just chatting. And that can go wherever, and you just have a conversation and everybody's just hanging around enjoying themselves. And anybody can come and go as they please. No one's forcing you to stay, but it's like you're just here hanging out and chatting. And that's kind of fun. And I think people enjoyed that. Some people didn't participate necessarily in the chat, but they would be there watching. Like you could see the number. There were more people there than were in the chat and talking on the screen. So you knew there would be some people who just coming by and are like, you know what, I'll just sit back and watch and listen. And that's okay. That's okay too.
Yeah, like if you're at the card show or at the card shop and you're sitting there and you're leafing through the singles boxes, a couple guys come in, they're talking about whatever's new there, and they got their box of cards. The owner or whoever the shopkeep is talking to them. You get some other people coming in, and just you hear the sounds. And again, if you're deaf to that, I mean, I feel bad for you, because when I was always at a shop, I'd sit there and I just listen, like, oh man, I got these farbs, and I'd be like, okay, well, if shop guy says, nothing I really need to be like, what farbs do you have? You never know where those conversations will lead. Something you may have wanted forever and a day, maybe it's something generic and low end that you don't need, but at least ask and insert yourself into the conversation without being overbearing. That sort of thing. I mean,
It did make it, I
it,
think, a little bit simpler that you had a built-in with the way that the booths were set up, because and we joked about it a little bit, but it did, and Amit referenced it a couple of times. It helped that after a little while we'd be sitting there doing the booths, and then sometimes somebody would come in and say, "Oh yeah, oh I saw Dave from his channel. I remember seeing like one of Carlos. I remember seeing one of your videos," and I'm sitting there like, it's like yeah, because you never know who's watching.
Mhm.
You'll see there are viewers, but like a handful of people take the time to leave a comment or whatever, or I'll post something on Instagram. A handful of people will leave a comment, and you remember those names, you remember those people.
Yeah.
But comparatively to that, there's hundreds or dozens or whatever the case may be, depending on the video, who are like just watching, and then they'll see maybe they'll watch a ton of your videos, but you never know who they are. And then
Mhm.
one day they go, "Oh hey, I've been watching your videos for a while." I'm like, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
I've never heard from you until now, but I'm glad you watch. I'm glad you got something out of it. That's good. So that's always nice. Just grab a couple of comments here. So Matt just says, yeah, to be honest, the best part of the National was the conversation with vendors and buddies I was there with. Yeah. And the thing is, also, it's a lot less expensive than sometimes the cards. I still like buying the cards. Don't get me wrong. I have a strong consumer streak, but after a while, it's like, yeah, but I can only keep throwing money out of my wallet at a certain pace. Eventually, it's like, all right, look, I can't keep doing this forever. Eventually, I got to give this thing a break. And sometimes conversations are free, and you
Mhm.
can sit there and get some knowledge, hang out, and just kill some time and have some fun. See now I know we're up to something weird here. So I had my buddy Ogilvy from university, so that was the Ogs earlier, and then my brother is here chiming in as well. Shop talk is what keeps people there in the building, so to speak. Otherwise, you get a lot of dead space over the course of an event day. Yes, and I think a lot of the booths had some dead space, and I think that hurt them
Mhm.
because it's hard to get people to come in and chat and engage if nobody's doing it.
Yeah.
Because it tends to be the first person does it. Maybe they're striking up a conversation, and that encourages and motivates somebody to be like, you know what, I kind of want to join in on this conversation. Can I join and join part of the chat? And then as the day goes on, just having one or two people talking is enough to get other people to come in, even if it's just in the chat. And another thing, you didn't have to share your video. You could
Mhm.
actually turn off the video and just be audio only if that was your preference. You didn't want
Yeah.
people to see your house, or maybe it was messy and you didn't want that. But you could be a voice
Yeah.
on the line too. That was okay. Yeah, Andy Greening was opening up some vintage pack in Jeremy's booth. Yes, I did see a little bit of that. That was after the show had officially ended. He came in with some vintage packs of hockey and baseball and stuff, and was actually opening the packs right there on video and showing off the cards one by one, kind of doing a slow reveal, doing some 80s and some 70s baseball and hockey.
Mm.
Pretty cool. It was cool and could be a way for some dealers to draw viewers in the future. Yeah, you could do a vintage box break and stuff. Because I think one of the ones he did was, I believe, a pack of 80-81 tops. So he could have pulled a Messier rookie, potentially, if he had been a little bit more fortunate. He didn't. But you also got a chance to see it just right there. It's opening a couple of packs here and there, and it's kind of interesting. And I saw that people were watching. Like, towards the tail end, people were still watching. So, and that's after the show had ended. So
Yeah.
that tells you, normally in the show, they're like, get out.
Mhm.
Once it's cut off, it's like, get out or secure, or we're getting the dogs. Not literally, but like they're like, get out. That's fair. Okay. So let's talk about one thing here and we'll get into it. One thing that we mentioned it already a little bit here. There was a big difference between some of the dealers who, like I said, one of my favorites, and if you've got a favorite, you can share it, Dave. One of my favorites was there was a booth, and again, we're not going to name anybody or shame them. That's not important. But one of the booths was great because it was literally in the shop, and you could tell it was in the shop because it was a hard cam pointing straight at at boxes on the wall. So you got the counter there in front, the camera's pointing right this way at a wall, and there was nobody there. But from time to time, you could hear the ambient sounds of a card shop. Now we were about to go into a lockdown, so people were scrambling to do some deals. But some of them were very animated doing some deals, so you could hear a bunch of people cursing at each other in the background. But nobody was there at the booth. So if you wanted to ask a question or do it, there's nobody there to answer you. Although the owner would occasionally like walk by, peer in, and is like, okay, and then just keep walking. I was like, okay, that's the way you want to do this, I guess. They do pay money to do this, even though it's virtual. There is like money being paid.
Yeah. I
I'm not sure what value that came for you. I'm not sure what you got out of that.
it just that just baffles me again because I remember seeing at the last one in June, um, a name synonymous with hockey collecting,
Mhm.
same sort of thing, just a scrolling or no, you had the whiteboard. There's a whiteboard with just like prices of stuff on it, and the camera pointed at that, and I'm like, you're paying money basically for a newspaper ad on the internet. That
and once people, and by the way, once people realize that not a lot of people are looking, that actually, it's a psychology thing. If it feels like nobody's looking at it, you're going to be like, oh, why is nobody looking at it? Then maybe you look for half a second. It's like, oh, that's it. Okay, click off. So you're not going to get them to pay attention very long. You're not going to have their attention for long. So if you're not engaging at all, in this case, having eyeballs for longer is actually good.
Yeah.
It means people are actually paying attention. See, this is I said before, I referenced Carlos Sr. a little bit in the thing. Remember when I said earlier, part of a discussion was, Carlos Sr., Carlos Sr. could organize that thing. And I say, don't organize anything. Hasn't he done enough? He raised 2 children. One of them's on this screen and the other one is helpful like this. Just saying, there are 2 of us. And this is what we get. Well, at least Paul appreciates it. And you're not wrong, Roberto. You're not wrong. Many ninjas. You're not wrong. Yeah, an expensive newspaper ad. It really was. It really was. Yeah, Bobby had a Google slideshow with all his trinkets. Yes. As Amit lovingly termed them. His trinkets. And
no, he had the knickknacks. I had the trinkets.
Oh, yes, that's right. It was the knickknacks. My apologies. We got to make sure we get this right. Absolutely.
Amit must be given credit for his
yes.
broken brilliance.
We are nothing else if not really stringent on making sure credit is given where it's due. It must be given where it's due. Hey, Ken. Good evening. How are you? It's going good. Wow, everybody's coming out of the woodwork today. That's awesome. Okay, so I think as far as that's concerned is good. All right, Dave. Shall I do a little bit of CSG? I've been waiting for this moment. All right, so let's talk about a little bit of CSG, guys, because that was kind of one of the things that came out of the show as well, a little bit. So let me show you guys the new slab here. Beautiful. All right, so here is the new CSG slab. This is from CSG Cards. You can find it on Instagram. It's right there. Okay, so a couple of thoughts. Let me share a couple of thoughts here, Dave, and by all means, I'd love to get your take on it as well. We talked about it a little bit already, but we can kind of reiterate some of our points. Okay. There's nothing fundamentally wrong here. Like, it's a slab. It is a slab. One of the things that it struck me when I looked at it initially, and then I've had more time to look at it, and I still feel the same way. That's supposed to be a completely clear plastic, which is cool. That's fine. There's nothing wrong, completely clear versus frosted. No issues. No worries. I'm good with whatever. The label is super clear. So, Bob, you're asking a good question, and I'm going to get to that in a second. Here's my problem. So I'm going to show you guys something, and in a moment. But first, it is clear. You can read that label very clearly. Mm-hmm. It is kind of plain. That doesn't excite me, but that's not a deal breaker. That's a legible label is not something I'm going to penalize you for. But what struck me as a little odd is that it feels like the label is tall enough that it feels like it throws the proportions off, and it feels like it's going to have to be a taller slab in order for this proportion to make any sense. Does that make sense, Dave?
Yep.
So that's just like my first viewing. Like, remember, first perceptions are important because they will color how you're going to feel about this going forward. So when you look at it, you got to feel like, yeah, that's cool. Some people like it, by the way. Let me not knock anybody. Like, some people do genuinely like it. For me, I don't get good feelings looking at it. I just feel like, it's kind of boring. And I'm also thinking like, well, how much would I actually pay to get a card graded in this holder? Mm-hmm. Which is important. And we don't know what the prices are yet. So that didn't come out of the expo. But we did get to see the holder, and then the guys that work in there, the lead graders, did chat a little bit. So let me show you something incredibly unscientific, by the way. Let me make this clear. This is not scientific in the slightest. I need someone with proper photoshopping skills to do this properly. But I did this for myself because I was trying to get my head around it a little bit, that proportions thing that I was telling you about. So I tried my best to see if I could whip something together in a couple of minutes. And literally it's a couple of minutes. So let me show you something. Okay. By the way, this is not proportional, so don't take this as gospel. Somebody who has Photoshop skills can do better than what I did here. But what I was trying to do is I was trying in my head to figure out what the proportion. So the red box is basically me taking the label at top and bringing it down so I could see how much of the Jordan card was covered. I wanted to see what the proportion was of the label to the card. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that I'm just trying to do that for myself. We don't know what so Zach, we don't know what the dimensions are. So that's where the problem is. But if somebody was able, with proper skills, not what I just did, I did this in about 5 minutes. But if somebody makes the two Jordan cards the same size, you will get the proper proportion. Because if you make the two Jordan cards the same, perspective-wise, you should get about the same, a decent visualization. It feels like the CSG slab is going to be at the very least taller.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Like at the very least, it would have to be, I think, because the borders are wide enough that I don't think you could make it the same size or smaller with that size label, in my opinion. Does that make sense, guys? So I did that, like I said, in 5 minutes to try to give myself a little bit of help to try to visualize it for me. That was the best I could do. So let me grab a couple of comments here. Yeah, I like that Roberto makes reference to my old job. There used to be a fireplace channel during the holidays that people would call to complain if they didn't see it. I used to get those calls. It was great.
The Yule log.
Yes, basically that's what it was. So what happens is, yeah, Ken's not that big fan of it. Yeah, like I said, Ken, for me, it's not working for me, but that's an aesthetic thing. So definitely. So to the point, Bob, the reason I tried to do that, like I said, I tried to do that for myself, but don't take that as gospel. Find somebody who can do a little Photoshop, make the two Jordan cards exactly the same size, and then you'll have a better view. I tried to make it as close as I could, but I'm not that great at it. So people are going to like the taller slab. Yeah, it's going to be tough because then, yeah, to your point, it's like what box do you put it in? Does it fit in the current graded card boxes? Maybe, maybe not. It will stand out from the mix of other graders. Yeah. So that's definitely a point, Bobby. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. So to your point, Zach, they don't give the dimensions yet, but it feels like it has to be taller. At least proportionally, I feel like that's best guess based on what we can see here. That's just what I'm feeling. Ken says, I don't like the look, but I'll also admit I don't like the new SGC slabs, and now I like them more than the others. Yeah, but the thing is, at least the black border has its own thing. And by the way, SGC has at least been around a while. And the black border thing is not new for them. They're not reinventing the wheel. But they did update the label. So that's, if you were using SGC, 15 years ago, it's pretty much the same size slab. It's just they kept changing the label.
Yeah.
So here, yep, playing Photoshop. Whoops, let me go here. What's their Instagram handle? Yeah, I'll grab it for you here quickly, Bob. I'll go back to the original picture. Give me 1 second, guys. I want you guys to have this information for yourselves. Like I said, when it comes to stuff like this, I'll show it to you. I'll give you my opinion, but take it for what you will and take a look for yourselves. So it's this one here. Let me just take this off. So it's CSG Cards on Instagram. So that is the current, and they have 2 pictures, one with 3 cards, and I took the one with the 1 card. So take a look, There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so let me go here. I don't understand why a company would try to get in the game now. There's a bunch of graders other than the SGC, PJS in the early 90s and 2000s that failed. Yep. I think what they're trying to do is they're really trying to capitalize on the fact that CGC has at least a little bit. Yeah, but they're also, CGC has at least a little bit of a reputation. They're not starting from grading concept from scratch.
Yeah.
But kind of one of the point that we're going to have here is the fact that they have that doesn't mean anything in the sports card realm. And I said it kind of to be contrarian, but also kind of be serious. If I'm a card collector, I don't care that CGC exists. There's nothing wrong with CGC. If I'm a comic collector, then I care about CGC. But the same graders aren't going to be doing the same job. They're not going to be using the same holders. They're not going to be operating as the same company. They're going to be operating as a subsidiary of the same company. So that's okay. But what it means then is, that we have to grade them. We have to grade them, pun intended, on their own merits. We have to look at what is it you are doing, because what CGC is doing has very little to do with you, because that's not the same folks. And I agree with you 100%. It does feel like too much. So let's get this one here. So Dave, what are your thoughts on preferring graded cards versus non-graded? Do you have a preference?
Vintage, I always feel, and again, even with the trimming scandals over the years, I feel more confident, I'd say, buying a graded vintage card. If it's a key rookie, that's a modern one, not like the ultra modern from the last few years. And I want to just, let's say, like the Brodeur, I wanted to get a mint 9 score Canadian and a score American, and then eventually, I think there's another one too.
I think for that,
I
no, I
wanted to
think
get
for that year we discussed it. I think for that year, I think you're good. It was the year
okay.
after that they had the
That's
extra
what
variation.
it was.
Yeah, I think you're good now. I think you're good on that one.
I wanted to get a mint 9 because you see a regular one. Most of them are in lots. Obviously, it's been overproduced because it's not to the point of rarity of like a Ziggy Palfy Upper Deck rookie,
Wow.
but
Do you think they are?
it's like a notch below.
Mm,
So I want to just get a mint 9, be done with it, and then you have that mint 9. It's a fine 9. It's like $10,
mm,
$12. I'm okay with that. If it's like an insert, like if it's like a run for the cup, do I need it graded? No, because it'd probably come back like a 7 because of chipping and all that. But I don't know. The price. It always boils down to the price. If I can get something a 9 that I can get that's a raw pricing on it, why wouldn't I already get the 9 where I don't have to worry about, well, maybe it's subjective to whatever grader's working that day on that card
mhm.
and pay the grading fees and have to wait for 30, 40 years to get my cards back.
Right.
It's a multitude of things. It comes down to the price.
Mhm.
And if the price is the same and the graded cards there, like the precious metals Brodeur.
Mhm.
Do I need a quad 9.5 one? No.
Mhm.
But that's the one it was. It was basically in line with the previous 2 sales. Get it and good. I'm done with it.
Mhm.
And I can move on to the next one and be happy with the one I've got.
Right. So from my perspective, it really, just to summarize quickly, it comes down to what it is I'm doing. So what happens is, um, if I'm collecting for my collection, sometimes I want a graded card just because I like certain of my nicer cards to be in these. I'm treating it like a glorified holder. For a
Mhm.
personal collection card, this may be a rarer piece, like that Winning Materials Platinum. That'd be a great example. The
Mhm.
StarQuest Gold. That'd be a great example. Do I need to have it graded? No, I don't. I could put it in. I could put it in one touch, and we're good to go. But I actually wouldn't mind to have it with the label on top. That's why the label and the aesthetics of the whole package actually matters to me as
Mhm.
a collector. As a resale person, then what matters to me most is, look, it could be the ugliest damn holder in the world, but if it sells for twice what a PSA 10 sells, then game on. Let's do this. I don't have to keep it. I just need to sell it to you. Then it
Yeah.
doesn't matter anymore. But as a collector, I care a lot about whether it fits inside of a box I have today, whether it jives with the other cards in the collection. That becomes a lot more important to me personally as a collector, as the buyer.
Mhm.
As a seller, look, man, I will sell it to you in a garbage bag if that's what makes you happy. But that's your call, dude. But you're the buyer. You know, in this case, the customer's right. You want to buy that? Take it.
Yeah.
But then it matters a lot less to me. So let me grab this one from Ken. No, that's perfect. Thanks, Ken, for clarifying on that. Appreciate it. Bobby just says it would guess maybe half an inch taller. It could be. And the thing, Bobby, to your second point, I'm not saying anybody should like it or not like it. Personally, not for me. But if you like it, awesome. Then by all means, they're going to have a market because they are introducing, and some people are really mad at the other graders to the point that they
Mhm.
will just be like, look, just give me an alternative and I'll buy that. Okay, perfect. That means they've got some potential sales. That's a good thing. That's great for them. Now, I wanted to bring this one up here because this is a good one. And I want to kind of get your take on this, Dave, because I referenced it a little bit earlier as well. And I think this is interesting for me. Okay, so Ken points out, correctly so, they took Beckett's senior grader. Now, here's the interesting thing. And this is actually, you're bringing a great question, Ken, because I love this question. Here's the thing. You're 100% right. So what? Now, let me explain why I say so what, because Dave knows already a little bit where I'm going with this. My thought process on it is this. When it comes to the graders, what I don't want, I'm taking a grader the same way that I take a kicker in football. The only time I want to know that the kicker is there, the only time I'm paying attention to a kicker is if they miss.
Mhm.
Or a closer in baseball. I pay attention to the closer if they blow the save. If they come in, do their job, get the 3 outs, and get out the door, cool, man. If you have a great closer, it's great. If you have a good closer, it's almost as good. If you have a bad closer, then you notice.
Yeah.
Anything short of that, like there's actually a fine line between the two. Because if you got a very good closer, you don't necessarily have to have the best closer in the game.
Mhm.
If you've got a good kicker, you don't necessarily have to have the best kicker in the game. You just have to have a dependable kicker. If it's an important kick, will you make it? Yes? Awesome. That's all I need. Do you miss a couple in the regular season when it doesn't really matter that much? That's fine. That's okay. But if you make most of the big ones, we're in good shape. We can work with that. It's when you shank or you double doink or you do something dumb with a critical kick, then I know who you are. For a grader, if I know who you are, it means you've done something wrong, usually.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, there's no such thing as a superstar grader. I don't care who the grader is, unless they're bad or unless they're inexperienced. Because if they're inexperienced and they're bad, then I care because it's like, wait, that's going to hold me back from wanting to shit. So when they said they got Beckett's senior grader, here's the thing. That's not a knock against them, but it's not a knock in their favor. It's basically you didn't fail the test. You met the minimum grade. Now I move on to the next category. How do I like this? How do I like that? How do I like this? So that makes it interesting. But having those Beckett senior grader means you're bringing in some experience. That's good. But my minimum expectation is that you have some people with experience. That's actually my expectation. Not something you can take credit for because it's not a feature. It's the first thing you need before we even get to the rest of it. Does that make sense?
And then I think with them saying that they got Beckett's senior grader, that if it's not somebody from our vantage point looking at it the way we're looking at it, if you're just Joe Schlub on the corner, you're like, oh, wow, they got Beckett's senior grader. That's going to be pretty good. Not really knowing the full dome of information. You're just sort of looking at it from the outside, like, oh, it's Beckett. That's
It's not a bad marketing thing. Like I said, it's not a knock against you. It's not going to hurt you. I'm just saying, for me, it's not really a feature. It's like you saying that your luxury car has air conditioning. It's a luxury car. I expect it to have air conditioning. It's like, yes, you did include air conditioning, but I expected that. If you didn't have air conditioning, then I have questions.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? Like it's supposed to be there. That's
right. A brand new Lexus. Well, we have an AM/FM radio. Well, okay, I hope so, but that's it. Yeah. Well, yeah, just an AM/FM radio.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
And the windows work. Awesome. Fantastic. Good to know.
They have their old crank roll down.
But I'm just saying, like, I'm not going to take points away because of this, but I can't. I'm not going to applaud you for that.
No.
So Bob says, and correctly so, I think CGC, I believe that's right. Because I think when I saw like that Pokemon card, I think that was a CGC graded card, which is fair. But it'd be interesting to see kind of how the CGC gaming card grading thing part of it comes in. So Zach made a comment here and I wanted to get back to, I know it took a little while, guys, so I'm just trying to get caught up on these comments. The clear label is interesting. So it's actually a white label, Zach. So the first picture didn't do a good I wanted to show you the individual slab. It made it a little easier to see, but I'll show you this one real quick just so you can see it. It's with a dark background. It'll make it a little easier. Let me take that off. So it's just a white label. It is see-through plastic, so it is clear, and then you got a white label in front. And really the only aesthetic things are the name here. They've got the little logo kind of in the background light, and then the green box here. Like I said, it's super legible. Like there's nothing wrong with the legibility of this. It's just a little plain, but otherwise it's a completely clear piece of plastic all the way around. That's it. Like I said, for some folks, that's going to work. It's really clean, but it just depends on your aesthetic. Again, that's subjective. That's not something I'm going to take points away. It doesn't work for me. That doesn't mean it doesn't work for you. So it might work for you perfectly. And Josh is right. First, Paul Fee reference is 52 minutes in. That's important. We got to have those timers on there.
It's one of those things too. I'd like to eventually, whenever it is, get one in hand just so you can physically see it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I just don't know if I would do it with a premium card out of the box. That was kind of a key thing for me is that, would I take one in hand just to see that it would be, whether it's interesting or not? Yeah, because I definitely want to have one in hand. I want to see the size myself compared to the other slabs. I can't judge it from a picture. I can try. Right now, that's all I got though. So right now I can't. If I get it in my hand and it works better for me, maybe it's really thin. Maybe they stack nicely. That'd be kind of cool. That would be a feature for me. That'd be kind of cool, but I don't know right now. Right now, it's just a see-through piece of plastic with a white Avery label. Yeah. They printed some green on. Like right now, I got nothing to go on here. That's all I got. So I got a comment from Ken here that I'll grab in 1 second. That's a fair point as well. Give me 1 sec, guys. Here, just getting a refill. Okay, there we go. So I was going to say here. So Ken was just saying that his point is that it's quite unlikely he took a pay cut, which is fine. I get you. They're willing to spend money. Very fair. They're well capitalized to make this work and aren't half-assing it, which is completely valid. I get it. But kind of playing like I said, Ken, I'm not disagreeing with you. Everything you said there is bang on. But CGC has the overarching parent company, has some other graded things in their portfolio as well. So they're not new to this space. So in that world, I'm like, again, I'm back to the air conditioning analogy with the car. It's like, oh, we spent some money. It's like, it's a luxury car. I hope you spent some money. I hope you didn't go with the cheapest tires you could get. I hope you didn't. my expectation is that you did these things and spent some money on these things. I hope so, because you're trying to make a splash, right?
Mhm.
You want to get in and steal some market share. You can't half-ass it. You don't have a choice.
No.
So that's what I would want from me. So just me, or would Derek Carr make a more believable Jesse Pinkman if they redid Breaking Bad? You got anything for that one, Dave?
See, I've watched maybe half an episode.
You're half an
of
episode ahead of
Breaking
me on for Breaking Bad. I don't know.
And I mean, that's not even one episode. That's been maybe a few that you stop in and watch a little bit. And I'm like, I've said this before to many a person. I am very set in my like sitcom type ways and my show ways. I mean, it's very hard to get me out of Unsolved Mysteries, Mystery Science Theater 3000, Simpsons. I've heard all like the Breaking Bad, the Ed Wesker. I always forget the name. Not Hunger Games. What's the one that Game of Thrones?
Okay, yeah,
All,
that's his. Yeah,
all that stuff. I'm like, I don't. It just doesn't interest me. Not saying it's bad. It's just not. I'll watch my 40th episode of The Final Sacrifice on Mystery Science Theater 3000. Laugh hysterically at the same stuff I've laughed at for 25 years. So
that's a different way of approaching it. That's fair. I won't outlive the Haunting Togo thing. I don't know if you're still around, Ogilvy, but I did do the Mystery Science Theater discussion with Dave here earlier, and I talked about good old Manos, the Hands of Fate, and the Haunting Togo thing. So if you're off in the ether, I just want you to know your legacy lives on. He was the buddy I was talking about who brought the Haunting Togo theme into my life.
Ah, good.
There you go. So yeah, agreed with Ken. Good info, Bob. Thank you. Yeah, I agree. I don't know if it's different. Like I said, we're going to judge it fully. Like I said, these are early returns. This is first impressions. Based on what we see and what we have here, this first impressions. So yeah, Ken just saying here, agreed. So all this context means I'm more likely to agree with them. Someone truly don't true. I think they're worth a try if you're genuinely interested. I think a key piece that we're still missing, because there's two parts I needed. I needed to know what the holder looked like. I did need to know what the holder looked like, because that's important. It's an aesthetic piece that I needed to understand. But also, a thing that I needed to know, which I still don't, which we don't know yet, is the price. The price is super important. If it's $100 a card, we're not having any further discussions. We're done. We're done with this talk. But if it's $10 a card or something like that, and maybe a 5-card minimum or something, maybe it's worth a flyer. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of room in between. I don't know where they're at as far as their model for what they would like to do. Now, one interesting thing would be if the subgrades, I think it was mentioned. I just feel like I thought I saw it and I forgot. I'm wondering if the subgrades carry an extra charge, because if they do, otherwise you create some blank space, like in the middle of the so imagine if you got just 2 lines of like the brand and then the player and the number, and then you don't do subgrades, so you got this white space between that and Certified Sports Guaranty, which would be awful.
Yeah.
Just this big white space in the middle of it. Like, okay, not good. So let me grab this here. They're just saying they're bigger than BGS. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, if you had that big gap in space, I mean, that would not.
I don't think it'd be good.
No, not at all.
Yeah, so this is interesting here. So CSG would be accepted in the marketplace. Okay, marginally different, strong. I think one of the points that I made is that you are so very clearly going to be based on whether you're going to be clearly based on whether they can get, and this is a point made here, so I'll just put this here from Bob. You need a big volume grader to take them on. You need somebody to make the first step, to make the leap, to give it a shot first.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever that's going to be, but it's got to be somebody it can't be somebody who slabs 5 cards a month. It's got to be somebody who puts in volume, because they got to get the slabs out there into people's hands so they can look at them or buy them on eBay or do whatever. That has to happen first. And if they do that, then that's a start. Then at least people can see them and then judge for themselves. Take a look if the slab works for you or doesn't. 63 minutes until the first Mystery Science Theater 3000 reference. True story. Here's a good one. You got this reference, Dave?
It's only if they ever find out if there is beer on the sun.
Mm-hmm. So which episode is this?
A Final Sacrifice.
Of course.
It
Because of
is,
course he would know.
it is the greatest episode. I absolutely love that. Troy McClure, the guy, it's like a kid that, um, there's like some treasure chest that his dad gave him. He died under mysterious circumstances, and you go through it, and it looks like he says there's a lemon mine as he's going through these pages that are like earmarked with like things like lemon and then mine.
Okay.
But it looks like lemon mine on there, and he's just looking at this stupid map and the Xerox or Xeox civilization, and God, there's some like country bumpkin. I can't remember what his name is. Out in the middle of the woods, and it's the best by far episode that they had. I mean,
this is what you did, Ogilvy. This is what you've brought us. And he's proud of himself. Wherever he is right now, he's smirking to himself. I know this.
A complete derailment.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, I'm used to it. So real quick here. So I think a big auction house with a big card that sets records. I agree. The thing, Paul, it has to be somebody like that. It has to be somebody who already has a little bit of established credibility, taking a flyer, giving it a shot, and giving them a platform where they actually use it. And then whatever they do is going to be interesting from there. So, Bob, I know you mentioned this a couple of times, and you mentioned it here as well. Question: are you talking about CSG itself or the CGC gaming cards? Because which one are you referring to? I assume it's the gaming cards. I'm just not sure. And Jeremy's just adding it here. They said main stage $5 extra for subgrades, and that's fair. And I thought so. I was pretty sure. What I'd be curious though, Jeremy, and this is something we don't know yet, and I know you don't know either. So right now we're just guessing. I would be curious if that means that literally there would be a white space if you said no, if you declined to pay the $5, because that would be terrible. Oh my goodness.
That would not be.
I'm not a fan. It already feels like too big a label, and then you create more white space to make it like more glaring. Again, this is a visual trick. It's in reality the label would be the same size, but it would just look even more pronounced with a big white space in the middle of it. It would just be weird. You know what I mean? So yeah, they charge $5 extra for the subgrades and trading cards. That's fair enough. Okay, so here we go. Bob clarifies CGC gaming cards. Got it. Okay, we'll see. I'd be curious to see if they would keep the pricing in line with that or if they would go their own way. That'd be kind of interesting. I don't know. That'd be kind of interesting. So Amit here is advocating for ADC grading. Familiar with that one, Dave?
Not yet. They didn't get those royalties in yet.
Yeah. Explain to him, Dave, what Villain Enterprises is about, because I actually know. Give the short version.
Marty Skrull, he's part of like the sort of clique with the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, it's a wrestling shirt.
Wrestling, yes.
That's right. No, I just wanted to give him a little background just in case he was curious about it. Absolutely. There's only so many. Yep, exactly. Although Marty Skrull's not exactly a popular guy right now, so bold choice by you.
Well,
he's got his own issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. We won't go into that. Let's leave that one alone.
We'll save that for a wrestling podcast.
Yeah, we can leave that in its own discussion. Absolutely. So they also explain how the crossover service works. Yeah. No, that I think Bob is making an excellent point here. Actually, let me just put this back on here real quick. I think Bob's making a good point because maybe we can use the gaming cards division as maybe a precursor. I'm not going to take that as gospel that they'll carry it over because they very well could just come up with their own model because it is a different holder. They're trying to do a little in a different market. I'd be curious though if they would borrow some elements from it, because if they do, then at least it gives us a bit of a sneak preview of what it could be like. That might be interesting. See, I mean, you brought this on yourselves. You're the one who asked about the shirt. Could have just let it be. He says he won't be on a wrestling podcast. Well, too bad for you.
Yeah.
I already did that. So anyway, but yeah, no, I think, like I said, I'm leaving open judgment. All I've said so far is that I'm not a fan of the aesthetic of the holder. It doesn't work for me. Does that mean it's bad? No, it doesn't mean it's bad because right now I don't know whether it's good or bad or not. The other point that I made though is that, like I said, right now all we know is kind of a little bit about the lead graders, but that doesn't move the needle for me. Right now my grade is incomplete. The only thing I've got is a bit of a negative is I don't like the holder, but that's subjective, not objective. So that's not a deal breaker. If the pricing's good, if the grading is consistent, if they do a good job, they can totally take some market share, but they're going to need to hit on all those spots. The pricing is going to have to be on point. I hope they don't put a big white space in the middle of the damn thing if you don't take the subgrades. That would be awful. Otherwise, you may as well just put the subgrades in every time. I don't know. I just don't know. So yeah, just gonna put it here. A comment from Bob. I mean, he's gonna try to tell us about how great the Tonka was. I'm not doing it. Not right now. I could explain to you who Tatanka is, but we're gonna let that one go. Gonna let that one go. Chris Chavis was great. I think that's was that one of the lead graders talking to Jeremy, Josh? I believe so. I feel like that sounds right. Yeah. So let's see here. Yeah. So trying to derail a serious conversation. That ship sailed in both directions. But so we already derailed it and then we brought it back. So keep trying though. That's it's a good effort. It's a good effort by you.
Amit gets the Barry Horowitz.
Yeah. Well, maybe take a little lighter there, Dave. I don't even want to go. Yeah. Yeah. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Yeah. He tried. He tried. Yep. So here you go. So his suggestion is to do fractionalized grading. You have to dig deeper to understand the subgrades. So you mean the current subgrade system? Subgrades are like what somebody made up that day. How to do the gaming cards sell versus PSA versus BGS graded game? That's a legitimate question. That would be a good comparison. That would be a very good comparison. Oh, here we go. Tatanka's real name. Ah, okay. Now, because I didn't remember what his real name was, to be honest with you. I know the wrestler, and I'm familiar with some of his work. He actually did a brief stint in Memphis when Vince McMahon did his early stint as a bad guy. Are you familiar with that one? Before he became the evil Mr. McMahon in WWE, he did a stint in Memphis where he basically did a prototype of what would become the evil Mr. McMahon. Does that one ring a bell?
Was that down in Smoky Mountain?
No, that was in Memphis. He was feuding with Jerry Lawler.
Okay.
Does that one ring a bell or no?
It doesn't.
I'll send you links. It's excellent. It's hilarious. They've got it on YouTube. I'll send you links. It's excellent. You'll get a kick out of it. Yep, exactly. Agreed. 100%. Yeah, and Amit knows. Yeah, I think you'll get a kick out of it, Dave, actually. There's actually a series of YouTube videos where somebody actually recorded them. The different vignettes and the interview segments and all that, where Vince was cutting promos on Jerry Lawler all over the place. It was actually very funny. And again, it was early before that character. They didn't do the exact same character, but he took bits and pieces of that and carried it over. So it's kind of fun.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Amit's going to speak for himself now.
Oh, boy.
Amit, what's going on? Exactly. Now you got to do it slower, Amit. Slower.
Yeah.
Less enthusiasm.
If I go any slower, I'll love myself.
That's your problem, sir, not mine.
Who's going?
We don't want you to throw your shoulder out doing it.
I know.
No, I don't do that. Well, I can do it the other way around. I swear, I just saw you guys, a couple hours ago?
Yeah, well, it was funny because that's part of the reason why I was very good. It was good that your kids came in when they did, because I was starting to actually eat while we were chatting. I was like, okay, I actually need to take a couple minutes to eat.
Well, it's not really bad because they're talking, and then I'm like,
it was still a good conversation.
It was a great conversation, but we've had 12,000 hours of great conversation.
Yes, it was. Yeah. Okay, so here, let me grab this. So there are a bunch of CGC Pokemon that are sold, but I don't know squat about them in all the versions. No, that's fair. I think it's going to be hard to compare, though, because I don't feel like the volume is that big. I feel like if you have, like, the expensive Pokemon cards, you go PSA.
Mm.
Like, you would. Like,
you go where the money is.
Yeah. Why would you deny? It's maybe this is a good segue kind of back into the whole thing with this grading thing. Whatever happens, the market acceptance, all of this, is going to come down to how effectively the secondary market sales go. If the 10 for this comes out and it sells for 50% of a PSA 10, they're dead. Mm-hmm. Not like immediately, but it's going to hurt because the next person is going to be gun shy. They're like, if I have a valuable card, I can't afford to take a 50% pay cut on this. When I could have just sent it to PSA, I would have had to wait longer, but I would have gotten my maximum value. Like, I'm getting this graded to hopefully make some money. Why would I kill 50% of my profit? That'd be terrible.
You mean by going to CGC? Like, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, I'm saying if they come out and they don't sell, like they sell for a percentage, the next person who sees that is going to be gun shy. And that's going to be a cascading effect. That means the next person's not going to think about, which means you won't see a lot of them out on the market, which will make somebody else gun shy. And after a while, it's not that the service did bad necessarily. It's just the first impression was bad.
Yeah,
which carries over.
Good point.
It doesn't take long. Like, they have to come out of the gate whatever it is they do, it has to be strong. The secondary market sales have to be at least decent. You can build off of that, but they got to be decent, you know?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah. So that's kind of the big thing that you have to kind of keep an eye on. So a base set of CGC5 of Charizard sold for $370. Yeah, that doesn't seem like a lot. Mind you, again, there's different versions, right? So I don't know what version that would be. So you'd have to compare it apples to apples to a similar lot of PSA or BGS or something else. But it'd be hard to compare. Now, one other thing, Amit, you can speak to this a little bit because you experienced it. We already know the dealers like yourself that did a better job engaging the audience, or hanging out and having people chatting at the booth and participating in that and doing a little bit of that. It kept the traffic consistent because you saw there were people at the booth constantly, even if they
wanted to. It was like they wanted to listen in on the conversation, right? It was like someone that says like window shopping, but you didn't want to do it in silence. You want to hear people buzzing about the hobby and talking. And I'm telling you, every time we had people talking, so when there was no people, there was like between, let's say, 15, 16 people. But when people were talking, it was going into 20s. I almost felt like people were in the background and saying, hey, go check out this conversation. It's pretty interesting. I don't know if that was happening, but
I think that carries over. And I think also, I can't remember now, Dave, maybe you or me can remind me. I feel like if certain booths were more active, I feel like you could kind of see that. Or maybe at least when you clicked on it, you could see right away there were like more people at the booth. You could definitely see it on the main screen. So you could get a sense, oh, this booth's a little more active. And immediately maybe you take a couple of minutes then to sit down and listen to what's going on.
Yeah.
It's just natural. If the booth feels like it's empty, then you're like, maybe you'll stick around for a second and be like, all right, I'm out.
And some people, like, not everyone wants to buy, right? They just want to hang out and listen.
Sure. But that doesn't hurt because then other people would get encouraged just by hanging around. And if they hang around long enough, what the heck? I'll check out the Dropbox, or I'll check out the thing while I'm here. And then maybe something catches their eye and it sets up a deal. So I'll include Bobby's comment here. So you talk about grading consistency as if other companies are wayward in their grading. Hard to believe that we question the professionals on the very thing we pay them. Oh, we definitely question the Bobby. There's no doubt we question them. Now, some of it's fair and some of it's not fair. There is some inconsistency for all the companies. There is some inconsistency because if there wasn't, you wouldn't be able to submit a PSA 9 10 times and have it turn a 10 on the 10th time. Mm-hmm. What changed with the card? It's subjective. Subjective grading means there's variation. Hey, Jeremy.
It's subjective. Guys. Oh, hi. It's subjective, but I mean, you kind of want it to be kind of subjective, right?
Well, it is. That's where room for PSA makes money on those crackouts and reopenings because they get to sell you on the same service for the same card again.
100%. And within 30 seconds when you leave the expo, there's more plastic on the ground in there than in a pharmacy. Like, come on.
But it's true. But for PSA, then, now I'm not suggesting they do it intentionally, but I'm saying the subjective nature of grading guarantees somebody may have a bad day and miss something. But that automatically creates the opportunity for a crack open and resubmit. Mm-hmm. And that's profitable. PSA doesn't just make its money grading the card once for all of eternity. That isn't true. They might be able to resubmit and regrade the same card 5, 10, 15 times over the course of a lifetime. And that's extra money in PSA's pocket. That's not a bad thing. If you're PSA, that's profitability. That means you don't have to have new cards coming out all the time necessarily. You could keep regrading the same card if somebody wants to keep trying.
And I'm sure people do. I mean, and then there's those guys that are cracking it out and selling it raw, right? And then the next person goes to start doing it. Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be nefarious. Sometimes it's like a person legitimately thinks, no, I really think this is a 10. Like, I really think this is a 10. So I'm going to try. And I'm going to try, and I'm going to try again. Or maybe
there's some people I will not buy raw from. Mm-hmm. I know 100% that they sent it in. Well, think about it. If you have like a whole slew of slabs and you got that one card that's raw, hello.
Yeah, that's fair. Let me just grab this from Bob here. So he's just saying, do you inspect the work done by professionals in your car house? The same for grading. In a way, not. Like if it's your house and stuff, you're going to inspect. Like you're going to at least take a look. Now, if you've already done business with somebody a long time, you're going to look less. You're going to take just a quick look over. Yeah, it looks fine to me. You're good. But if it's the first time you do business with somebody, you're going to be a lot more careful. You're going to look and see, like, let me just make sure you did what you're supposed to do. Okay, fine, we're good. And I'll say, Paul, though, keep in mind some of those so if you get past the big 3, quote unquote, you get the MNT grade, you get whatever. There are people who look for those that are like MNT 10s. And if they really think it looks like a sharp card, they'll crack it out and submit it to one of the other guys and take a shot on it. Because if it's really a shot, being in one of those other holders does not disqualify it from being a legitimately good card. You could get a 10 in one of those things. Maybe they don't have market acceptance, but you crack it out and submit it to one of the other guys and it gets a 10 again because it's actually a good card.
One would hope with the costing now of the grading, it would defer that type of process. Not defer, prevent that type of process.
It could.
I mean, if it's going to cost you $50 a shot, right? If you're going to switch it between two companies and you've already got 150 in and the card's only worth 200, like you're not going to go and do that, right?
On the lower value cards, yes.
Yes. On the higher value, yes. But I would say the volume's higher on lower end than it is on higher end.
Yeah. No, for people trying to crack out the $50 cards and trying to turn them into $300 or $400 cards if it goes up. But you're not going to keep cracking those out. To your point, not at $50 a pop, for sure.
Just so you know, I'm sorting cards.
We gathered that from the ambient sounds of sorting cards.
Oh yeah.
It was.
I'm here, but I'm here.
It's an acquired ear to pick that one up, but yes.
Yes. You're a goddamn hawk.
I know. I even did it with my ears. Amazing.
I was going to make a Panamanian joke, but then I don't want to get shot.
Do you have a Panamanian joke?
No, I'll come up.
Are you sure your joke would actually work?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of one. There are a lot of birds in Panama. Maybe that's why.
Wow. Just
see, success. Palfi hits again.
We had the Palfi reference earlier in the stream, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
we even had a timestamp on it. We had somebody calling out the exact timestamp when we hit the Palfi reference.
Really? So how soon in?
I think it was like what, 40 or 50 minutes in.
Yeah, like 50.
Something like that.
50 or 52.
Yeah, somebody nailed it right on the money. They just gave us the timestamp for it. It was very quick.
You know, you got to have a rule. It can't happen until the first 30 minutes have expired.
Hey, it happens. But yeah. So as far as that's concerned, I think that's good. For the rest of the show, though, there's really not that much more to go to it because really they did a lot of things well that worked from last time. That was good. When you took advantage of it, because I think we already talked about it a little bit, and I did it in my video too. I said, look, if you're going to use the format, then you have to engage with the audience. So Jeremy did that. He was able to make sales doing that, just keeping people at the booth long enough. Some people just hang out, but some people would actually look at stuff. And Amit did the same thing. People would look at stuff. If you get people to hang out at the booth long enough, maybe they'll check it out just instinctively. They'll be like, oh, well, I'm here. Yeah. Click, scroll. Actually, that's a cool card. You know what? I wasn't even thinking about it, but I'll buy that.
I think part of it was a lot of people were just coming back in general.
Yeah.
Like they've already done their walk around, so there's fewer tables to walk around, so they come back. I had, out of my many deals, 6 of them were people coming back. That's fairly good. Yeah, fairly good percentage.
Well, one thing I'll say that the Virtual Expo has over the regular one, sometimes you'll go around, you'll look at something that maybe is borderline. You know what? Maybe I want to pick that up. And then you think, oh, I'll jot down the booth number. And then you forget what the booth number is when you try to go back in the physical expo. But on the virtual, it's like, okay, just type in the name of the booth. You can go straight to it and click because the search feature would let you open it up. If I type in 99 goals, I get that right at the top and I can just click it and open it up. It's a lot quicker.
Hey, Amit, when you said 6 of the deals were people coming back, are those people that like did a deal, left, came back, did another deal, or came, visited, said hello, left, came back and did a first deal?
They did a deal.
Multiple deals.
Yes. And then they came back and said, I see some other stuff I want. Can I add to it? Make sure.
I had one guy who did that 4 times. He kept on coming back. And every time he came back, he's like, okay, I think I'll add this to the deal too. You know, if you'll sell it for X, I'll add this to the deal. I said, all right, sure, take it. Pretty much each time. Because he was making fair offers, really, 90% offers type of thing.
Yeah, I had most of my stuff was people just taking it at face value. It was like out of like all my deals, I say 4 people tried to come up with an offer, and I would say only 1 person did a low ball. That's it.
Yeah, I didn't have many low balls, but I would say it's the opposite for me. Most people negotiated.
I think a lot of it depends also that it's weird because almost in a way, like obviously a lot of people came just to hang out and check out the show, and it's virtual, so it's not as onerous for you. You can just log onto a computer or on your phone and log in. It's convenient to pop in for a little bit. But if you were a buyer who was legitimately interested in buying, maybe you already kind of knew what you wanted. You were like, okay, look, this is what I'm looking for. This is about the price that I'm looking to do it. Yeah, I'll haggle a little bit depending on the card if your price is out of whack. But if it seems reasonable to me, it's like, all right, let's just get it done. Like, this is the deal. Let's do it. So I
mean, the other thing I have to say with all the deals I did, only like 3 or 4 were people I knew really well. There was a lot of new people I dealt with today.
Okay.
So that helps too. So at least there's new people coming in.
Now, one of the questions we got a little bit earlier, which is a fair one. Now, I can't judge it too well because unfortunately, like, I wasn't in every booth at the same time. Neither were you guys, but you were able to you were sitting at your booths for longer periods of time, seeing how your numbers went over time. Did you feel like it was about the same as last time? More people on average throughout the show, or about the same, a little bit more, a little bit less?
More,
like
more for me.
More for you.
Yeah.
Same here. It was more.
Yeah. So I'll be interested to see, most likely, if that's the case, because that felt like it. If that feels like it's right. If that's the case, I suspect Steve will kind of let us know that, hey, we broke the record. We had these many people come through the virtual turnstile, because it felt like there was activity in a lot of areas. So
it was. You could feel it. You could feel it.
Yeah, I think so.
It also seemed like when you went to the show and you went into the reception area and you could, there seemed to be more places to go, and especially in the expo section, there seemed to be more nice, colorful vendor booth logos, and it just seemed to be a fuller show to me, even though I didn't check out any other booths except for sitting in a meats booth all day today. I didn't get anywhere else really, unfortunately. So that was a good sign that it was busy, and it just felt visually busier as well.
Yeah, I agree.
I think so. I think I got that vibe. That was one of the big ones here. So I included Bob's comment here, but I'll just read it out loud as well for everybody. It was vendors complaining about the lack of sales, like they have no one to blame but themselves for how they ran their booths. And that's kind of the overarching theme, because this time around, we will say we did get a chance after the first virtual to get some best practices. The people that succeeded were able to convey some of that information out. And it's like, well, if you guys really wanted to know what worked and what didn't, that doesn't mean you have to take every single, you don't have to copy them verbatim, but you can take a couple of these tips and tricks and give it a shot and see if it works for you a little bit better. Some people seem to take that, and some others just didn't even
Two
try.
people took it that I'm aware of. 2 people kind of took advice from me and Amit from the first one, that being Doug Lothers and Andy Greenham. They both consulted me, and I know at least Doug consulted Amit.
Yeah.
So, and then I heard from other people that they had good booths too, in addition to Amit and I, but that's all I heard were those 4.
Doug did such a good job with his booth that he parted money from my wallet when I went through it.
Nice. But
It's like a miracle.
Yeah, I know.
That's a sign you did it
really
right,
is.
though. But at least take advantage of it. Learn. I will say, so as Bobby just says here, out of the 2 virtual expos, he did 5% of what he does at traditional shows. In fairness, though, Bobby, and you already know this, like the stuff you have, it kind of requires being there. Like in some ways, like to check out some of the stuff that he's got, you kind of want to see it in person. Although you can certainly sell it online, it's just tricky. Like it's a little tougher to get this. Like a card is a card. If you can see a decent scan, you can get a pretty good sense of what you're buying. But a lot of these items are a lot more niche, and you almost feel like, well, I kind of want to see it in person. If I'm physically there and I can check it out, and you can explain it to me and give me the background and all that while I'm looking at it here in front of me, it adds a little something. So I guess it would be a little tricky to sell the kind of merchandise that Bobby has to sell.
I wish I would have had time to go check out Bobby's booth and see what he had. I usually find things to buy from Bobby.
Yeah. Yep. Virtual shows are a vastly different demographic, which is right. Yep. That's exactly right.
Turns out, Bob says, it's true, right? It's so true.
But
You
the
gotta,
thing, though, I
you
saw
gotta prepare.
there were some dealers who I have been in their physical stores. So I know they have a lot of inventory, but they basically directed you to their website, which contains no ability to search any singles. So I'm like, I know you have inventory because I bought from you before. So, but this was, you have the opportunity to direct me to something where you can show me something. Maybe I'll buy something from you. You gave me so much friction to try to part with my money to give it to you, then I'm not going to do that.
That reminds me of, remember Consumers Distributing? That's what this comment reminds me of.
This one here?
Yeah, you go into Consumers Distributing. It's one long counter, but they had all the coolest electronics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just remember their consumer electronics that had a really annoying form. You had to have picture perfect writing to get in that little box, right? So my mom would fill it out and my dad would fill it out. They would never get the right product. They couldn't read, but you had to be crystal, like picture perfect.
Right.
I remember loving their catalogs for all the Atari games and the ColecoVision games and Intellivision back then. Talking mid 80s, I guess.
Yeah, I still remember the ColecoVision. You had the controller, you had to slide the instructions in to play.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Dave, how did you find the show today?
I love it. I mean, I didn't pick anything up. For the usual, I'm sort of waiting. More so, I told Carlos earlier to what comp he's got going on for their sales on Friday. I got some stuff that I'd really like to pick up from there. But again, just like in June, where it was pretty much a virgin where nobody knew what to do, what was going on. You have sort of bullet points here and there to work off of. I mean, you guys hit it right on the head again, where interactive with the audience. And I think help being on the YouTube for a while now too. That helps a lot, where if people aren't out there on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, if you're not in any of this stuff going on here, you have a tougher time to really interact. I mean, it just doesn't seem natural unless you've done it for a while. And you guys have done it for a while. The people that come to your booths know of you, so they know your style, they know what rapport they can have with you, and you're not going to just be that old curmudgeon, I don't want to accept and embrace technology dealer, and just sit there and look at your phone or whatever and sort of look up at the camera every couple moments, not interacting and not being engaging. I mean, people like that from you and Amit, and that's why you guys have the sales you have had at both expos now, the virtual fashion. I love it. I mean, I love obviously talking a lot. I mean, that's another stunning turn of events, but anytime people are talking to hobby, I'm trying to at least listen.
Well, I mean, we've been around. We're not new, right? So we've been around. So we know the hobby. So the topic that we bring up and what we can talk to, we have credibility, right? There's instant credibility there. So there's that. And I think people know. I've been set up next to Jeremy for at least 7-8 shows, and I've been at the expo for over 15. So and I've known both of you. So it's not like people don't know us from that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mentioned earlier that I got a little bit of a sense of that because I think Jeremy at your booth, I had a little bit of that as well, because some folks would be coming, oh, I think I've seen Carlos. I think I've seen some of your videos. And I was like, yeah, okay. So that it helps because, but there'll be like names and things where like, you may know them. They may have been around, but there, I mentioned Dave, it's like, I won't see the comments, but they're watching because I'll watch. There's the amount of people that are watching the videos and the amount of people that are commenting. The amount of people commenting are very, very few. But that's okay. I am happy to engage with the folks that want to comment. But you never know who's watching. Mm-hmm. So then from time to time, somebody will come by like, oh, I watched a bunch of your videos. It's like, who are you? And then once you know, it's like, okay, great.
So I had sales today of people who are like, hey, I've seen you on the show. I really enjoy it. I want to do a deal with you. So that was pretty cool.
And I had several people come in and say, oh, just want to let you know, I really love Sports Cards Live. Thanks for the work you put into it. I haven't missed an episode, and I'm like, wow, it never fails to like surprise me and flatter me that people watch all the episodes. Like, yeah. But they're people that I'd never heard from before, so that was kind of neat just to know that, it's just it's a good motivation to keep going as well.
That's fair. So let me grab a couple of the comments here. I'll include Bobby's here as well. So it just says, I believe, one of the best setups, subscription pricing Google size for not lack of that. Demographic is certainly a reason. It could be Bobby. Like I said, it is very particular stuff you have. Kind of Jeremy's point. It's one of those things. Jeremy would normally be a customer in a traditional expo because he could walk away from the booth for a little bit and go and check it out. So there's a little bit of that as well, where we have the ability to jump around. But also, funny enough, once you get engaged a little bit, if you are in the video portion and you're sitting there chatting for a while, time goes. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, how long has it been since I stepped away to take a look at something? It's been a little while.
Sorry, I'm packing. So if the tape is annoying you, just tell me, Carlos.
You're fine right now. It's all good. So yeah, early 80s is kind of when you were mentioning the catalog there, Jeremy. Jill Paul was just commenting based on that.
Yeah.
Let's grab that here. So these stores could have showed up singles from their inventory live if they want to do scans. Yeah, the thing is, Bob, they had options. The video medium helps for a lot of stuff. You can do a lot of things, and you can share your screen. By the way, if you had like maybe you had already done the scanning, you didn't want to do it again, you could be like, if you got a high-res scan available, you could do the screen share thing. Jeremy and I used that for a couple of things to talk about through a couple of points or whatever, so, because you had that option in this platform. You could do similar to what I can do here. I can share my screen and show you something if I want to. I can grab it off of Instagram or whatever, but you can do it. Mm-hmm. And if you did want to use it, well, that's a missed opportunity because you could have. So yeah, grab your $5 bill and show them on camera. They did a little bit of that. The dealers at the Virtual Con did it that style. There was a couple of dealers who basically grabbed like a handful of cards and like flipped through them on the camera. You can definitely do that. I'm just not a super big fan because that'd be kind of a weird way to buy because you're not seeing the full card. You're like seeing part of the card and they're flipping from one card to the other over and over again. And I don't think it was particularly good. It wasn't good television. I don't think it was particularly good live streaming. I understood why they did it because they had a limited time window. I did prefer the format that you could go to a booth and have dedicated time. And then you could also connect with the dealer directly, either through the chat, through private message. You had a bunch of options to be able to reach out to them, which I thought was pretty good. But again, it's another option, so it's not a bad idea. So ComC Barry was watching. Absolutely. He was around. And he popped
That's
into
so
the
eerie.
well.
It's the way he did it. I'm watching.
Oh, no, he meant it in exactly the way you think it was, Amit. In exactly that tone. He is watching all the time.
The ominous of it. He's probably got no voice left. He was talking more than me and Jeremy were.
At the booth, they were doing a lot of stuff. That's right.
Hi, Barry.
Bob thinks your celebrity's going to your head, Amit. We're worried about you.
I know. I have no ego. I have zero ego.
He only has 500 cards with a picture on them. You can ask for an autograph.
Well, actually, oddly enough, I had someone ask me at the end of the show, so I'm doing another through the mail.
Just throwing it out there.
I have no ego.
Uh-huh.
My name's not Carlos.
Carlos doesn't have a single card with his picture on it. He hasn't made one.
You don't need to.
He doesn't need one.
Dreams and aspirations that most billionaires don't ever even achieve.
Well, I think I'm in the wrong genre then. That I'm definitely going barking up the wrong tree on YouTube for cards. That's not the approach.
You're going to be famous.
Yes, be sports card YouTube famous.
Yes.
That's like worth dozens and dozens of dollars, you guys.
Dozens and
dozens, eh?
Exactly. It actually costs us. It actually costs money, Carlos.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, because the StreamYard subscription is like. So just so we're clear, on a monthly basis, that's a negative.
That's a negative. $35 a month in the negative.
That's correct.
So then you got to do that thing. We got to have that guy that goes hit the like button, whatever it is.
I think you'd have to have a lot of people hit the like button to make that one work for you.
I'm gonna hit it right now. Here we go.
You have to have someone like you too.
Boom! I hit it.
I don't have a problem getting the like button to meet. It happens. Not a lot, but it happens.
Ooh, since I hit it, someone else hit it.
There you go. That's the spirit, folks. That's the spirit.
I think we should be silent until everybody watching hits the like button. Oh, look at another 2 already. Went from 5 to 9 like that. Carlo.
Okay, well then I'm going to be silent.
See, the thing, Jeremy, you joke about this. The whole thing is you do have to remind people, and this is actually a serious thing for a second. You do actually have to remind people because sometimes they'll watch your videos and they will like them, but they don't even think about it. They're watching the video. They're just like, oh. And they're watching and they're enjoying it or whatever. They never think for 1 second. It's like, it would take 2 seconds.
It just jumped it went from 5 to 9. Now it's gone from 9 to 14. Literally in the last 10 seconds, there's been 5 more.
Because a lot of folks are like, wait a minute, that button is there. That's true.
That's awesome.
Oh my God, the button.
That's an amazing viewership, Carlos. Amazing viewership. Way to go, guys.
I appreciate it. But that's like it's not that people don't want to do it. It's just they forget.
Yeah.
But it's like
the reminder's a real thing. It's not like I'm not going to badge you with it, but it's like it takes 2 seconds. If you do it, it's really nice. It helps the algorithm thing. It's not a big deal.
You and your algorithm.
Do not question the algorithm, Amit.
It's not the algorithm, Amit. It's the algorithm thing.
Oh yeah, the algorithm thing. Yes, that's true.
None of us really know
what it is.
We're technical
around here, Amit. You should be on this. You know how to do this.
I know how to do what? Cut
technical
envelopes?
Things.
Addresses?
Yes, very technical things like that.
Yes, you'd be surprised how people screw this simple job up.
Yeah. All right, so from ComC Barry. Jeremy, the winner of the ComC Challenge Final was from the SCL Invitational. Message you later. Perfect. That means they get the hat, I believe, right?
They get the hat.
Awesome. Nice. You're welcome, person in advance.
Thank you, Barry. I'll watch for that.
All right. So, Meat, why did you choose the Lemieux for your custom card? Might have missed it, but you was curious.
It's a great question.
Okay, it's a really silly question. I had
The silly
Only
answer.
so
It's a
many
great
pictures.
question.
I was going to say, you're
literally-
making fun of Vinny's question.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a great question with a silly answer.
what did I say?
You said it's a silly question.
Sorry, it was a silly. I'm going to give you a silly response to a very smart question.
Yes, there you
Carlos,
go.
go away for a second. I literally had a picture where I was looking sideways, and we were saying, let's match it up to a card. And then Lemieux rookie, he's looking away to the side, and we could Photoshop my face almost perfectly, and that's how that came to be. That's it.
There you go. All right.
It's not ironic because my name is 99 goals, but whatever.
Yeah.
True. Not 87 goals. Sorry, not 87. 66.
I don't know if you when I went, I was on, Sports Card Nation podcast. You familiar with John Newman?
Yeah, Newman. You interviewed. He interviewed you, I believe.
Yeah.
Right?
He was on my show. I was on episode 99 of his show. So he what he does for his guests of his podcast is he creates a sports card for you.
Okay.
And he actually mails it to you, a couple copies. He wants you to autograph one and send it back to him to put in his scrapbook or his guest.
No
book.
way, really?
Nice.
Yeah, so here's the one that he sent to me, and because I was on episode 99, it kind of worked out. But this is what he made, and he sent me 3 of these things.
Oh, nice.
So I signed one, sent it back to him, and kept a couple for myself. It's kind of neat. It's the Gretzky version, which of course I love.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's a nice little add-on, a nice little perk. Why not?
Well, I got an offer to make a colorful rainbow version of mine today.
The glitter rainbow.
Richard Ho, I think it was.
We also talked you out of using real glitter because that is the devil's bargain. That is the beginning of the end if you go down that route.
We did have this conversation.
We did.
It's such a long day. We had this conversation.
We talked
Really?
about everything. Yeah.
We talked about glitter. When?
That was during, I think that was during your show, Jeremy, right? That's why I told him to
Probably
avoid
last
the glitter
night.
from the devil's bargain. Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about Sailor Moon or nothing, right? Just straight up glitter. Just making sure.
I don't remember Sailor Moon talk.
Maybe in the after hours it didn't air. Like I don't know. I don't know what you guys did after that one went off the air. That's on you. No idea. Can't help you there.
Hey, I did it. I derailed you. What was your topic anyway?
We were actually done that topic. I'm gonna grab some comments. Okay, so yeah, more infamous than famous, probably. I don't know. Do appreciate that Bob reminded people to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Which is
There's a
good.
bell.
There's a notification bell. You can hit subscribe and hit the notification. So you know how like you never know when new videos come out. If you hit the bell, you get an email that says a new video came out.
Now that bell is broke because I've done it many times.
Do you like re-hit it and undo the bell? Is that what it is?
I got a super clicker mouse. I don't know, but it doesn't. I don't get any. I only get Jeremy's. No one else's.
Okay. Well, you do that with Cardboard Chronicles because he's got a new video out.
Really?
Literally just the other day or today or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, I like hang on every thread. I want to see that one. I'm gonna look at that.
Yeah, it's a new one. If you check, there's a new video. So just so you know.
So why would I need a notification button? I got you, bro.
Yeah, but after a while, I'll be like, oh, I think so. It's on Dave's channel. Check there. I'll direct you to the right place. Don't worry.
Dave's page has got the button that moves. You can't quite hit the notification button.
That should be the video you do. That's the video you should do, Dave. That's the next logical thing. So I want to include this in here. So Bob says, next Carlos is going to tell us to do bad things. Do not reveal my end game. It is too soon. It is way too soon, Bob. Abort. Delete your comment. So Algie says, is there a cheat code to hit the like button twice? I wish there was. But thanks, Al. Appreciate it. And Vinny got your explanations. So good. Have a good night, Ken. Take it easy. And Paul here keeps us honest. An hour and 44 minutes into the first Sailor Moon reference of the show. True story.
This
that's on you.
This new Cardboard Chronicles episode looks to be just over 35 minutes long, so quite short for Josh.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah, I haven't had the chance to scan it yet, but it looks decent. It looks decent. I usually will check out. He now that he's busy with card ladder stuff, it's usually a little more time in between episodes. So when it's out there, it's pretty easy to check him out. He's usually pretty good at getting some interesting discussion points going with some of his guests there. Perfect. Yeah. So I think, Dave, I'm trying to think, and Jeremy and Amit as well. I'm open to whatever you guys want to talk about. But we've covered a little bit of Certified Sports Guarantee. We've talked about a little bit of the show and how that played out. In terms of cards wise, I've got nothing to add. I don't think Dave already mentioned that we didn't really get a chance to buy anything. We basically hung out and we got a chance to chat at your respective booths. So that was fun. And hopefully folks got a little bit of a taste from what we were able to talk about. It is worthwhile if you have the time, and it was 2 days over a weekend. You could pop in and out whenever you wanted. I think it was a worthwhile time. And if you did prepare your booth correctly as a dealer, you had opportunities. So they were there to be had. And as buyers, you also had some opportunities to find some interesting cards here and there. But I think some of the dealers will have to take, right now, not enough dealers took advantage of the information that was out there. And Steve, as he was making his rounds in the booths, did get some feedback from folks. And we did kind of mention as well to him, it's like, well, I guess you're going to have to like double send them to be like, these are the best practices. No, seriously, they are. If you want to make sales, you got to put in a little bit of extra effort. Yeah. But that's the only way. It's like, if you want to ignore it, you can keep paying for the booth and not getting anything out of it. That's on you. It gets expensive after a while. Like, it's not free even for the virtual booth, it's not free.
Yeah.
Not free.
Yeah.
Definitely not free.
So it's like, to me, it seems like I would want to make more money if I'm going to take the money and take the time to do that. Set up a camera for a whole weekend. Cool. All right. So I'll leave it with that. If there's nothing else, then guys, I'll give you a chance to do any last questions, and then I think we'll call it an evening. Give us all a bit of a break from talking.
Maybe I'll show you that Mike Modano card I have in my collection that I teased you about the other day.
Okay.
So just going to bring it up, and then I'll share my screen if you're interested in seeing it.
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
We're going to do a live deal? This is amazing.
No, not a deal. Just a show. I have a really cool Mike Modano card. Here it is.
All right. So you're doing a share screen request here. So yeah.
I will in 1 sec. Yeah. Let me just bring the card up.
I'm surprised the crowd isn't trying to extend this show. An hour and 46 minutes is short for you, man. Dave, come on, man.
It is, but I think it depends on whether. I think some of these guys were at the show as well, so I think they got a taste of a lot of what we talked about. We gave them like the streamlined version because it's like you got the long version if you were.
This is at 3x. We're doing it at 3x.
Yeah, like. Well, the thing is, I know Dave's been great to hang out because he's actually watching his show while we've been talking. He's got the wrestling event on.
He's watching wrestling while doing that.
Yeah, he's got it on TV. Yeah, he's multitasking.
Wrestling.
Just a meat scoff right there.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, here we go. I see what you're talking about. So
I can't
this one is
stand
the
that.
rookie review. Oh, nice. You got the star on the patch. That's good.
Isn't that a beauty?
That's pretty good. Not bad. It's a clean autograph, which is important because sometimes they don't do the best job on those. But you got to have the window right. So the Minnesota North Star, right? Which year is that one?
This is the 2008 SPA.
Ah, okay. No, that's pretty good.
That is nice, man.
Yeah, thought you'd like it. I think it's a gorgeous card with a beautiful patch. I mean, you can't get any better than that patch in such a small window. It's like a dime, like the size of a dime.
One of my most successful threads on Hobby Insider was best patch in a small window. Mm-hmm. Remember that thread, Jeremy? That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Way back.
Dallas doesn't have much they can do with nice patches. So it's actually really rare to get. There's not a lot. The Star is probably one of the best pieces because it's small enough that you can get a couple of colors inside of this little window. But they actually don't have a lot of spots on the jersey, the normal jersey, that you can get some decent colors in it. The logo isn't conducive to it usually. That is a nice one.
Should I stop it or do you stop it?
I can do it.
I'll show you a nice patch in a small window.
Sure. Yeah. No, I'll reach out, Jeremy. I got to take it easy a little bit because I do actually have to put some money aside for the holidays for the family.
I'm sorry, Carlos. I didn't mean to mislead you. That card is not available. It's in my. I have that whole complete set. It's part of my complete set.
That's actually better for me then. That works.
Yeah, I just wanted to show it to you because I knew you'd like it.
Yeah, that works.
I wasn't offering it. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay, so here's an example of a good, amazing card in a small window.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
So I love that. Like that's such a small window. Like,
and that's Jagger, right?
Yep, that's Jagger. Yeah.
Now, which thing is that? Now I can see that it looks like letters, but what is it exactly in the window?
That's the NE for new and the R for Rangers.
Yep. Oh, okay, gotcha.
I don't remember him wearing the C in New York, but I guess he did.
I think it was brief because he was the top paid player, so they're like, "We're paying you the most. You're wearing the C."
What I find really funny about this card, it says the cup, but doesn't look like a cup card.
Yeah, it feels more like an SP game used.
Yes.
It's actually
That's the
on
vibe
the
I
cup.
get. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the strangest part about this card. Looks very much like a ultimate kind of feel and almost like trilogy kind of feel, but it doesn't feel like a cup card.
No. SP game used is I agree with Carlos on the SP game
That's
used.
the vibe I get when if
Yeah.
you took the cup logo out of it from a distance, I would say SP game used just
No, there's no way. Like,
because they did a lot of those triple memorabilia cards. I remember a lot of those triple and quads. So I'll grab these.
I don't think I have another one in here.
Yeah, and I get that idea, Paul. But those North Star pieces are going to be rare because Mcmahon only played there about 3 or 4 years, from 1990 to 1991 to first year in Dallas is like 92, 93 or 93, 94, right thereabouts. So it's not like you have a lot of North Star game used North Star jerseys out there to cut up. There can't be that many out there.
Carlos, did you happen to see these? These are available, not that you want them, but just because you showed your
winning
Medano recently.
I did see the winning formulas. Yeah, there's some nice ones.
The Sakic's out of 27.
Yep, and then the Waza 31.
31. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I think in the game, you also had some Burdurs. So I don't know if he caught those, Dave. I think in the game section he had some Burdurs. I can't recall, but I think he did.
Oh, I would have. Yeah, I would have for sure.
I think so because I scanned it anyway, just to look and see. But yeah, it was one of those things where I was just laughing at Paul's comment here, like looking at it. It's like, well, Jeremy can be playing hard to get or not. He's not selling it at the moment. He's got a part of a set, and I also have no money, so that ain't happening.
Well, that's funny. Yeah. When Jeremy and I,
it's mutual hard to get. It's like, no, really, I have no money to spend on it. Even if I
like when
even if it was available.
Jeremy, I like when you and I try to do a deal. We both know we're probably not going to do it. It's almost like,
forget it, man.
It's not going to happen.
It's like I'd rather just gift you the card, so I don't have to deal negotiating. I don't have to deal with negotiating with you. Just take.
I know. I look at the price, and I'm like, it's a good thing we're friends.
Usually I have fun with this with Steve because Steve will have his stuff and he'll price it at certain levels where it'll be like, Steve, you're not getting this, and he'll come up with this price and like, you're not getting this. It's like, who the hell's gonna buy this from you? Like, who? I know some of the bigger Medano collectors, and they're laughing at you. I can hear them off in the distance. And it's like, I'm sure as hell not paying for it. So I'm like, were you planning on a bridge loan as part of this deal? You gotta have a little fun with it though, and he's content to hold on to it until he finds the buyer for whatever it is. So.
Or he gets frustrated when he
finds the right sucker.
Yeah, if he finds a small government who is like, we'll buy this as an asset, go for it, go for it, guys. If that's what you want. Feel free.
I can't believe the expo is over. So weird.
Well, in fairness to me, it's like with the little bit of extra overtime, we did get a little bonus time in both days. So they did have a little. So it's like they gave you full value. I will agree that the move to leave it on a little extra time was good because then Jeremy was able to. I wasn't participating, but I did see. It was mentioned earlier. I did see Jeremy on your booth where the guy there was opening the packs.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a cool little bonus for some folks that were watching it. It was kind of a neat little thing. The expo was technically over, just hanging out, watching the packs get open and the cards being revealed. A lot of tough centering on some of those O-Pee-Chee packs though, and Topps packs.
Yeah, it was a fun way to wind it down. And there was I think all the other booths were closed, so it was well after, and there were probably, there were 25 or 26 people watching at, well after a meet closed out his shop, and everyone kind of came in there and watched him watched Andy open those packs. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, I had to go. My kids were like all over me, so it's like, okay, I gotta go. Otherwise, I could have stayed. We had a full crowd. We had like 20 some odd people there. We were going on a live chat, and Colin Murray was talking. Bobby, I don't know if Bobby's watching. We were chopping in and out, so I got most of what you were saying. But Bobby, I wanna. We should bring Bobby on, man. It'll be a fun one to bring him on. We were reminiscing about old school eBay. Remember, we were doing the money orders. So you had to send the green one and not the pink one, and then you have to send it back. Like this stuff like that. It's just where we were at eBay and how we used to sell and crazy. And then Colin brought up a point that it used to take a month to do a deal, and it's true. By the time you set the payment, it's crazy.
Well, it's because the seller had to wait for the
Yeah.
money to actually come in. They're like, I'm not sending you the card until I get the money order.
Yeah.
So like I understood because I did a handful of selling deals that way. It's like, no, I'll wait until the money order, then I'll go to the bank and I'll cash it in, make sure it's good, everything's fine. Then yes, okay, I'm gonna send it now, and then you have to wait for the mail to go the other way. You
I
have
used
to
to
wait.
get checks too. I had to get checks, and then
Oh, that's the worst. When they send a check, I'm like, oh.
But then they used to put a hold on a U.S. check for a week.
Mm-hmm.
So now when you get the check, it takes 2 weeks. You get the check, you got to wait a week for it to clear. Then you got to tell the guy it cleared. Then you send the card out.
The pain was drafting up because now you don't have to do it as much anymore. You used to actually have to carefully think about how your description would have to give all the terms. Okay, so it's this amount for shipping, depending on where you're here. This amount for shipping if you're here. If you use this payment method, it's this period of time turnaround, et cetera, et cetera. You know, when I receive payment, it'll be this, blah, blah, blah. So you have to explain everything. Now you can like preload it into eBay and it's like, use the standard. This is the shipping rate. This is whatever. You don't have to keep typing it in or copying and pasting it over and over again.
That's crazy. It's crazy how time flies. Because I was on eBay in 2001, right?
Yeah.
Jeremy, when did you start?
My eBay account was created December 1999.
Yeah, so 2001. When was yours, Carlos?
May 98.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yep. That's been a while.
Amish Dave is he's not paying attention. You're on YouTube stream, you're watching wrestling. Like we're paying to watch you wrestling.
You're paying through what means are you paying? I mean, I'm
Through
curious.
the advertising revenue, your rich advertising revenue from YouTube.
The advertising revenue you're getting as part of the StreamYard.
Yes.
Are you getting ads of me?
No.
I would love for there to be somehow ads on the StreamYard. It's like, so what do you? I'm just sending ads to Amit's feed. He's the only one who gets them.
We're like antipsychotic medicine.
See, I like Jeff, how Jeff is trying to drag us down that heinous rabbit hole and Paul's playing along. I know. League leader cards. No.
I do not.
No, I don't.
No, that's a resounding no.
I don't need to give a video for that one. I'm gonna go with that. Absolutely not. Good try though, Paul. Good try. You're not goading any of us into it.
I agree with this comment though.
It is rookie year.
Yes. Rookie year, yes.
Hard to deny that. Hard to deny that fact.
It is.
And I think
it is a card during the rookie year.
And I do think that rookie year cards should and could and probably do warrant a little bit of a premium compared to the same card in the second year because it is a rookie year card. It's still a first year card. And I like how ComC has the RY designation in addition to the RC designation. Really helps you to if you like rookie year cards, which I do.
I think
Carlos, we should start a whole thing on 10th year cards.
What's that?
Start a whole crowdsourcing campaign. Why buying the 10th year card is the best card instead of the second and third year.
10th year.
10th year card.
Well, I feel like the basketball already tried to do this, not with 10th year specifically, but with like first card with new team.
Dude, the LeBron Lakers uniform,
Yeah, exactly. That's what
like
I'm trying to say.
is bonkers.
Yes. So like there is a segment of collecting that like that.
I'm gonna create my business card with an SCL logo and only put it on 25 copies, and just send that out.
Business card with an SCL logo with 25 copies.
25 copies, SCL logo.
Approved.
Oh,
Approved.
and I'll put Jordan in the background somewhere, right? I'll make him really, really small. I'll put Carlos. I'll put you and Jeremy in the background and make you really small. It'll be like a special, like one of a kind business card.
Well, my only curiosity would be like, there's a lot of questions I have.
Okay.
There's a lot of questions I have, but I'll narrow it down to one specific question in your scenario, just one. So 25 copies. Why so much less than your actual card?
Because it's rare.
Well, considering
Rarer.
your newfound celebrity, 500 might be rare.
No, I think 25 is uber rare. In fact, I'm going to write uber rare on the card.
So you're right, uber rare to make it clear.
I'll make it so rare, I won't even put all the vowels.
Oh, you're edgy now. You are so edgy. You're with it with the kids now.
Oh man, I'm hip to the bone.
Yeah, there's probably a hip joke in there somewhere too.
I'm sure.
Yes. All right, guys. So I think I'm going to break a record here by being like, nah, we're good. Yeah, I'm gonna hop off and do a couple of things myself.
One
as
more
well.
minute, it'll be 2 hours, man.
Oh no, I'll get to 2 hours. We're gonna finalize that.
One more
So-
minute. Come on.
We're gonna get to 2 hours. I just said it. I literally just
One
said
more
it.
minute.
Yeah. Anyway, so right there. So below me, Jeremy, you can check him out. Sports Cards Live. His logo's on his shirt. In addition to a lot of
Logo's
other
on his
places,
shirt.
we've definitely done that. So his logo's on his shirt. Amish Dave Archer is available on YouTube through exactly the same naming convention as his name right there. So if you search that exactly with the no spaces, you will find his YouTube. Amit doesn't have a YouTube, but you can check him out on Instagram there where it shows @Titan Hockey Stick. So you can message him all your Ziggy Palfy plans, how many Ziggy Palfy rookies cards you are getting. He's going to build a Ziggy Palfy card fanatic. It's going to be an offshoot brand of basketball card fanatic, but it's literally only Ziggy Palfy cards. That's all we're going to talk about every issue.
All the pages are going to be blank. It'll be the cover page and then the end.
Yes.
So it's really the Ziggy Palfy card fanatic.
Yes.
Ziggy Palfy card fanatic. Amit tries to say that now. He's being modest. Every issue
know
is
what?
going to be 417 pages of careful analysis on the Ziggy Palfy market.
I'd have to pay people. You know how I can't remember what's the guy's name. Adam has people
Yeah.
paying his subscription.
Yeah.
I
Real
am
27 guy, Jeremy? Real 27 guy?
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
that's right,
I'm
yeah.
gonna pay him. I'm gonna pay people to order my manual.
Basketball card fanatic right here.
Yeah.
All 3 issues.
Yeah.
No, I really feel bad for him. He's getting mentioned on a channel with a bunch of misfits like us. He's probably like, I don't know if I want them sponsoring me.
Well,
Yeah.
one of the misfits actually has a code that gets you a discount, so it's still on brand. Yeah, it's still there's still a branding piece to this.
So Adam, wherever you are, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to lower you down one prescription. If you lose a subscription, I'm really sorry.
Could be part of his publishing empire.
Yeah.
All right. So now you guys know where to reach these different guys. And myself, you can contact me on the Instagram or you can check it out on the channel here. There's a whole bunch of videos now. There's a couple of hundred, literally a couple hundred videos. And most of them are hobby related at this point. So, and I'll have live streams and conversations like this where we'll hang out and we'll do questions from the audience and different things. And it's open. It can be a lot of different things depending on, and if you have a question that we didn't cover for whatever reason, throw it in the comments. Because if there's some good ideas, I am not morally opposed to doing either a topic on a live stream later or a standalone
sorry.
video if it makes sense.
I thought you were just gonna say. I thought he was just going to say I'm not moral, but then he went on to say
That was implied.
opposed.
But then he
That
said
was
morally
implied.
opposed. He's like he had to justify. He said I'm morally opposed. Like that's not even doesn't even
I
work.
said I'm not morally opposed.
Yeah, but the word moral has nothing to do with this.
Let's go. What are we going to do? What are we going to do in part 2 of the episode tonight, Carlos? What do you want to talk about for the next 2 hours?
Well, in part 2, I'm actually going to record this, and then I'm literally just going to hit loop and see how many people notice.
Yeah.
See exactly at what point they're like, wait a minute.
You should
This is
overdub
exactly
it.
what was on before.
You should overdub it with Spanish and just throw it up there.
Yeah, I'll get Carlos Sr. on that one.
Yes.
Yeah, he'll translate it literally.
And whatever language they speak in Ely.
We speak Canadian.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Bold move. Bold move, eh?
You betcha.
Oh, look at you.
I'm out of here, fellas. Thank you, Carlos.
Take it easy. Have a good
Very
night, Jeremy.
enjoyable. Amit, Amish Dave Archer.
I've never seen any of you before. Have a good day.
Pleasure spending the weekend with you, fellows.
Yeah, man. Thanks. On a serious note, thanks for popping by. That was awesome. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
No worries.
Okay, bye.
Thanks, Jeremy. Take it easy. Okay, so Paul's just getting a laugh, and then this will be the last word. All right. So Roberto gets the last word. Carlos Sr. in literal correct translation? I don't know, man. And he would know. It's a true story.
Can you bring Carlos Sr. on one day?
I can, but I'll prep him to be like, so you see that guy? Just make fun of him is what I do. And then you can have 2 Carloses making fun of you. It'll be great. All right, guys. So that'll be it for tonight. Have yourselves a good one. Thanks, Dave, for popping on. Enjoy the rest of Survivor Series. Amit will probably be joining upstairs, much like Steve in hockey. Amit's a closet wrestling fan, so he can talk about that on a future podcast. It'll be awesome.
I'd rather eat nails.
Have yourselves a good night. Thou doth protest too much, Amit. Have yourselves a good night. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Take it easy for the new week.